Hello everyone, welcome to What If Quirkless Deku got trained by Batman and became Green Robin movie. Before we start, please go support Natsu201855 for writing that awesome fanfic. Chapter 1. Your son is quirkless. The toe joint proves it. Sorry kid, you should give up on being a hero. These words stuck inside Izuku's mind. He was shocked. He tried to stop tears. His mother, however, she took it differently. She was angry. What? Are you sure? Doctor looked at the mother. Yes, it's how we can tell. If he had a quirk, we couldn't see this joint here. He says, showing joint on an X-ray photo of Izuku's foot. Izuku and his mom were coming home. Izuku was clearly sad, tears falling down his face. Izuku's mother had different thoughts on her head. Useless piece of trash, I have to get rid of him. They were going next to park when she got an idea. Honey, don't cry. I'll go get some tissues and water to store. Wait for me here, okay honey? She put the best fake smile ever made and she pat his head. He only nodded. And so he waited an hour or two, until it was evening. He decided to lay on the bench he was sitting on because he was getting tired. Meanwhile, an American businessman was going through the same park. Bruce Wayne was coming back from one of press conferences in Japan. His business was growing. But he had different thoughts. How could I be so incompetent? If I was a better hero, no, if I was a better father, Damien would still live. Tears were falling down his face. He needed to rest. He was depressed, overwhelmed by sadness. He was looking for a place to sit, then he saw a bench close. He came from behind of it so he didn't see it was occupied by a child. He looked so peaceful like Damien in one of those photos Talia showed me. He approached him, kneeled and shook him lightly. Hey young one, why are you sleeping here? The dark green-haired boy opened his eyes to show his emerald eyes to a stranger. Oh, it's nothing. It's just, why are you crying, mister? Bruce couldn't hold back tears. His eyes reminded him of Damien's deep emerald eyes. Oh, it's you have eyes just like my son. Izuku smiled. Maybe we can be friends. I'm sure we'll get on well. Bruce chuckled and sat next to the boy. I will get back to that. Bruce looked at the boy. So, why are you sleeping here? Where are your parents? Mom said she's going to buy a tissue and some water, but it was early at the day, and now. Izuku looked at the sky. It was dark since it's 8 p.m. I see. Do you remember your address? Yes, it's XXXXXXXXX. I'll get you there, okay? Yes, please, Mr. Wayne. My name is Izuku Midoriya, Mr. Wayne. Izuku smiled widely. Bruce called Alfred and they drove Kid home. Izuku wanted to go there alone, but Bruce insisted to go with him. They knocked to the door. Coming! They heard from behind the door. Izuku hid behind Bruce's leg to surprise his mom. Inko opened the door. Hello there, coming for some fun? She pointed at Bruce. Just then Izuku jumped from behind Bruce. Mom, it's me! Inko wanted to shut the door, but Bruce held it. Why would you leave this child alone in the park? I don't need this quirkless piece of trash. He was my ticket to better life as mother of a hero, but since he can't be one, I don't need him. If you like him, you could have him. She pushed his hand of her door and shut it, then she closed the locks. Izuku was crying. He wanted to run away, but as he turned away, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned back to see Bruce looking down, hair covering his eyes. Please leave me, Mr. Wayne, I'm just a useless Deku after all. Bruce looked at Izuku. Now they were both crying. Izuku, tell me. What's your dream? Izuku sniffed, wiped a tear from his cheek. To be a hero who saves people, but I'm quirkless, so that means can't be one. Bruce looked in his emerald eyes. Wanna know a secret? I mean, if you trust me, I'm quirkless as well, but you are a businessman. That's just a cover, huh? Bruce smiled. If you want to know more, you can come with me to America, in my house, and become my son, and I'll do everything to make your dream come true. What do you think? I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Wayne. Izuku ran and hugged him. Just call me Dad. Okay, Dad. They went to car, holding hands. Where to now, Master Bruce? Closest hotel, Alfred. I have one more thing to do here. We'll stay here for the night. Next day they went to City Hall and Bruce officially adopted Izuku. They went to a mall and bought Izuku many clothes, and then they flew to America in Bruce's private jet. When Izuku saw the mansion, he was clearly surprised. He knew his new dad was rich, but that was a bit of a over-exaggerating. They went inside. and when they went into the kitchen, Izuku saw the Bird of the Night, Nightwing sipping coffee, the Anti-Hero, Red Hood making eggs, and Red Justice Vigilante, Red Robin reading a magazine, all of them in their vigilante costumes. Izuku's inner fanboy started to show as he was squealing in joy. So how was it when I was out? Bruce came into the kitchen just behind Izuku. After seeing what Izuku saw, he mentally facepalmed. 3 Robins turned to the doors, and after seeing some kid, they froze in shock. Bruce? Dick almost dropped his coffee. Could you explain, please? Tim almost tripped from his chair, but Jason, well, he pointed a loaded gun towards Izuku. You got 5 seconds to explain, kid. Izuku yelped in fear and hid behind Bruce's legs. Daddy, he's got a gun! Bruce facepalmed. Daddy! All 3 shouted in unison. Oh boy. After telling 3 ex-Robins what happened in Japan, Bruce turned to Izuku, who was lying unconscious on the floor. Change, then come back. We need to tell Izuku who we really are. Bruce came next to Izuku, and sat next to him on the floor. When he got up, he looked at his father. Dad, there are Vijay, where are they? Izuku looked at now empty kitchen. Guys, care to explain? Bruce said. Then 3 vigilantes in their casual clothes came from outer doors into the kitchen. Maybe since Jay will be a hothead and Tim will scare him, Hick said as other 2 growled. He came next to Izuku. Hey there, I'm Dick Grayson, your older brother. Izuku looked at him with joy and surprised expression mixed on his face. And these 2 are your older brothers as well. This is Tim Drake, he said as he pointed at Tim. And this is Jason Todd, he said pointing at Jay. And I think you already know who we are, yes. Nightwing, Red Robin, Red Hood. Izuku shouted happily, pointing at the vigilantes. Name and person was always right. Wait. You all were Robins, sidekicks of Batman, so that means only one thing. Daddy is a vigilante of the night. Batman. He looked behind just to see Bruce in his Batman suit, no mask on, smiling. You're pretty smart, Izuku. How did he? Jay whispered to Tim, but Tim simply shrugged it. Dunno, don't care. After that day, Izuku began to train his body, head and spirit to be the next Robin. He's got a undercut, his eyes narrowed, and he has very toned body now. He's currently 15 years old, he stands at 5 feet 9 inches. His personality changed. He's not shy, he's a very confident teenager who isn't afraid of anything, not that he's cocky. Oh hell nah, he hates people like that. He's currently training some taekwondo and karate fusion techniques in a sleeveless shirt, green training trousers, green hoodie which he tied on his waist, and his white training gloves, with his signature red boots. Of course, whenever he had to buy some casual boots, he always went for a red high tops, either Vans, Converse, or his newest edition LV Supreme X Air Jordan 11 Gym Red. It's not that he liked to flex, he just liked how they looked. Between kicks and punches, he sees his father coming inside from the corner of the eye. He stops his training and turns towards his father. What is it, father? Do you need something? Chapter 2. What is it, father? Do you need something? Bruce waved his hand, and as like for a command, 3 ex-Robins entered the room. Izuku was confused. Bruce simply pointed at Izuku and 3 vigilantes rushed towards him. Izuku got into a fighting stance. Tim came from left, throwing a hook towards Izuku's face. Izuku simply moved, grabbed his arm and threw him towards other 2. How many times do I have to say this? You have to be unpredictable, Tim chuckled. Jason was next. He pushed him off himself and ran towards Izuku, trying to sweep him off his feet, but Izuku jumped over him and ran towards Dick and Tim to finish them off. Dick has pushed him to the side, turned to where he last saw Izuku, only to meet face to the fist. With Tim and Dick unconscious, it was now only Jay, who was angry AF. He ran as fast as he could with a death intention towards Izuku, but his anger blinded him, and made very easy target to Izuku, who after uppercutting him, took his gun, readied it to fire and pointed it to his right. Come on, father, now or never. After that, he unreadied it and threw it to the left. Bruce caught the gun, put it on the ground and began to clap. You never stop surprising me, Izuku. Even I wouldn't took all of them so easily. Izuku simply chuckled. They underestimated me, that's what made them loose. Izuku swept the sweat from his forehead, got his hand closer to his mouth. Alfred, could you bring me a drink, as well as ice packs for boys? And hang on. Would you like anything, Father? I'm fine, thank you. And that would be it. If it's fine with you, of course. He didn't get a response. Instead, Alfred came through the door with a waiter cart filled with all sorts of goods. What type of drink would you like, Master Izuku? Alfred, for the last time. Don't master me. Just Izuku is fine. And could I have a cold water, please? Alfred gave him a bottle of water. I'm sorry, Master Izuku. It won't happen again. Will you ever learn, Izuku thought Chukling. Izuku, we need to talk, Bruce said, sitting in his armchair, close to a fireplace. May I sit, Father? Izuku said, looking down. Of course. It's your house as well. Izuku sat in an armchair in front of his father's. I want you to officially be a part of Teen Titans. I can't, Father. Bruce was taken aback. Why? I appreciate everything you, Mother, Tim, Dick and Jason did to me for the last 11 years, but as far as my memory can go, I always wanted to be a hero, graduate UA High School in my homeland and be a proper hero. All those missions with Titans, patrols, trainings with you, the boys, I really appreciate it, but I have something to prove them. A quirk doesn't make a hero. All those who called me a reject will change their mind. I want to prove it not only for the sake of revenge. I want my spirit to finally heal after the rejection. If you don't mind, of course. He only met a tight embrace of a hug from his father. After a couple of minutes in the embrace, they parted. How can I say no to those emerald eyes of yours? We'll go to Japan in 2 days, for a party of a Yaoyorozu family. They are partners of our corporation in Japan and they want us as honor guests, you included. After that, we'll buy a house there. Not as big as Wayne Manor, but it'll have to do, and we'll get training for UA's test, as you won't accept any recommendation or any kind of cheat code. Bruce said, just to be met with tight embrace from his son. Thank you, Father. 2 days later they arrive at Yaoyorozu Mansion. It wasn't as big as Wayne Manor, but it was big, nothing more, nothing less. Izuku was wearing a dark green suit with a black vest and white shirt, tie in the same color as a suit and black suit shoes. The older Wayne just with an all-black suit and red tie. The Yaoyorozu family greeted them with all the respect. Ah, Mr. Wayne. Great to see you again. And this is your son, as I believe. It's great to meet you. I'm Hisashi Yaoyorozu, and this is my wife, Inaki Yaoyorozu. Izuku smiled and took hand towards Mr. Hisashi. It's great to meet you, I'm Izuku Wayne. I hope we'll get along. Hisashi shook his hand. Izuku kissed Inaki's hand as she took her hand to shook his hand as well. Oh my, a gentleman I see. My mother gave me a few lessons. Will we meet her? I always wanted to meet the woman who stole heart of your father. Hisashi smiled and looked around. No, sadly, Selena had her own meetings planned today. Bruce spoke before Izuku could say anything. Oh, that reminds me, we want you to meet someone, Izuku, Inaki said as she excused herself from the conversation. After a while of talking about Izuku's plans for future, Inaki came back with Simeone by her side. Izuku's emerald eyes met with eyes of someone his age, wearing a red dress, which showed her figure most of the girls would die to get. The girl had black hair, tied in a ponytail with the bangs on the left side of her face. Her cat-like onyx eyes pierced through his emerald eyes. This is our daughter, Momo Yaoyorozu. Momo took her hand towards Izuku. Hope we get along, Wayne-kun. Izuku did what he did to Inaki. Momo blushed significantly. That didn't go unnoticed by elders. Pleasure is all mine, Yaoyorozu-san. Then the music changed to something slow, not the let's slowly wiggle next to each other type of music, but something you could normally dance to. Speaking of pleasure, maybe we could meet each other in music accompany? 2 elder Yaoyorozus chuckled at Momo's reaction. She nodded, blushing madly. He took her hand and took her to the dance floor. They danced and talked about many things. Afterwards they went outside. They were in Bower, cold air running between them. Izuku took his suit jacket off and placed it on Momo's shoulder. Thank you, Wayne-kun. No problem, Yaoyorozu-san. What are your plans? Which high school do you want to go to? I got recommended to UA High School. What about you? I'm going to take tests to UA in 3 months. I want to prove something to everybody. Oh, what's your quirk? I'm quirkless like my father. Momo was taken aback. Wait, are you sure about that choice? Yeah. It was my dream for as far as my memory could go. Well, I root on you, Wayne-kun. Momo smiled towards him. Izuku took her hand, placed between his two hands and smiled back. Thank you, Yaoyorozu-san. Momo blushed madly. That smile was bright enough to make Almight's smile go underground. They talked a bit more and went inside again, to be met with their respective parents. Ah, there you are. We want to talk to you, Hisashi said. Momo and Izuku sat in front of them. We talked to Mr. Wayne and we agreed that you want to arrange a marriage between me and your daughter. Izuku cut him off, which took all Yaoyorozu by surprise. Bruce simply chuckled and said, Told you. Hisashi signed and gave him 2,000 yen in cash. Momo, on the other hand, blushed bright red as her dress, but she quickly hid her head in Izuku's jacket. So what do you say, young man? Would you take our daughter's hand? Izuku smirked, so did Bruce. No, Izuku said. Hisashi signed again and gave Bruce another 2,000 yen. Momo looked down disappointed. I won't do it. If we're destined for each other, we'll get together ourselves. If we'll both feel mutual feelings to each other, of course, and that needs time. So if your daughter and I bond in a way where our feelings are mutual and strong enough, I'll ask her to be Miss Wayne myself, but until then, I'll have to say no. Momo should be able to marry whoever she wants to. Momo looked at Izuku in amazement. Meanwhile, Inaki looked towards Bruce. How on earth did you predict that? She said as she handed him 10,000 yen. After party, Izuku and Bruce drove with Alf to WMJ, which stood for Wayne Manor Japan. Which wasn't as big as the original, but big enough to give the we're rich as buck aura. And with that, 3 months of Bat Hell 2.5 began. Chapter 3. And with that, 3 months of Bat Hell 2.5 began. Izuku started training Tai, his father, by going plus ultra, and doubling the amount of his daily trainings. Then they began on working more with weapons of all sorts, which Izuku already was good with, like metal bar. He picked up against training with Tim one day and already knew it was his weapon of choice. But no hero can live with one trick up his sleeve, and he trained with all sorts of spears, javelins, and other spear-like weapons, since it was his way of doing things, not to degrade the time of his training with other sorts of white weapons. He also trained his accuracy with kunais, shurikens, and guns, a Christmas gift from J to be exact, 416 Hong Kong dollars, with silencer and tactical scope. Izuku trained with it to master all sort of weapons. Bruce gave Izuku an idea of training ninja weapons alongside ninja art of stealth, since it was his homeland tradition. He trained it to maximum in a short period of time, since Izuku knew almost all of martial arts, and he was a fast learner. Bruce bought Izuku kusarigamas, nunchakus, and some katanas for him to master them. Before the UA's exam, Bruce gave him a stealth cat ring, which had 2 spies to do some lethal damage. Bat symbol was engraved on it as well. Izuku was confident. Coming towards UA Hall, nothing could stop him. Girls were looking at him. Most of them blushed and whispered between themselves. Izuku could care less. He wasn't planning a relationship anytime soon. Bruce mailed Yui to let them Izuku use his equipment. They agreed. After reading response from Yui, both Waynes already knew Izuku's gonna be a Yui student. Izuku came into an auditory hall after acing the written part of the test. He sat in his seat and began to listen to present mixed explanation on the practical part of the exam. Until some blue-haired dude stood up and began moving his arms robot-like movement. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you said about 3 types of robot, but on the panel behind you there are 4 robots. If that's a mistake, then dash. He was cut off by Izuku standing up. Listen, dude, sit down and let him finish, then ask questions. He was just about to say it is a 0-pointer. It isn't worth any points. It's just for a distraction. If you'd read the papers we were given when we came into the hall, you'd knew about that. The brunette was shocked. He sat down and mumbled something under his breath. Izuku simply bowed towards President Mike. I'm very sorry for interruption. Just needed to teach that douche some respect. President Mike was a bit confused what happened there, but he just rolled with it. After mixed lecture, Izuku came out from changing rooms in his new suit. He never used it in any mission in America, so he knew nobody will recognize him. He took a bus to his appointed place. He took his staff, which had a hidden blade located inside and configured his visor to give him information about bots. Meanwhile, that same blue-haired boy from Auditory Hall walked towards Izuku. I'm sorry what happened at the Auditory Hall. Can we start again? My name is Dash. He was cut off by Present Mike screaming, Go! Izuku jumped towards now open gates of the fake city. He ran inside and saw one Ponter. Computer, K the training music please, he whispered as he ran with his bar with blade towards robot. After killing it back, computer finally K'd the music. I can't make you play it if you want to. Izuku smirked as he ran deeper into the city, destroying robots left and right. Just as he sent last that was in the field of view, music stopped. Perfect. I should have about 75 points, not bad. Computer could you K dash. He was cut off by earthquake. He looked around just to see a 0-pointer coming his way, people running away and a brown-haired girl stuck under some derbies. Izuku smirked hard. Computer loop it. Full volume please. He ran at 0-pointer. Meanwhile, speakers under his cape started to play his training music as loud as they could. He threw 3 batarangs into the air. He ran towards the girl, helped her get up. 0-pointer was 3 steps from them. We're gonna die! Girls screamed in fear. Izuku simply smirked, threw a batarang on the street, behind 0-pointer and looked at the girl. Brace yourself. He clicked a button on his wrist. 3 batarangs he threw in the air, got on both his legs and his neck. They exploded and 0-pointer began falling towards 2 teenagers. It's even worse now. Izuku chuckled as he pressed button on his other arm and batarang which was in the ground began to emulate such strong magnetic field that 0-pointer came to it as it was a nail to a neodymium magnet. Izuku took his mask off and carried the girl bridal style towards the entrance, where Recovery Girl was waiting for anyone who could walk. Her leg isn't looking too good. She couldn't walk, Izuku said in caring tone. Thank you, young one. You can go now. Izuku came home, trained, ate, slept, and that was his life for a week. He waited for his letter to Yue. When it came, both him and Bruce opened it in silence. A hologram of Almight popped and told them that Izuku passed in flying colors and he's the first Quirkless that got onto hero course. They threw a big party, to which Yaoyorozus were invited by Izuku personally. Izuku spent some more time with Momo. They enjoyed each other's company. And when it was time to part ways, they both felt empty inside. They already missed each other, but they didn't know why. Izuku woke up, did his morning routine and wore his uniform. Selena came to check up on him. Dear God, you look so great, sweetie. Thank you, mother. Izuku smiled back to her. After eating some French toasts made by Selena, Izuku got into his limo and drove to Yue with Alfred. That was his first step in being a hero. Chapter 4. That was his first step in being a hero. After coming towards Yue building, Izuku told Alfred not to pick him up after school. He wanted some time alone to think about his relationship with Momo Yaoyorozu. He took his first step inside school. He was confident. Seeing people his age showing off their awesome quirks only made him smile. He fixed his ring on his finger and went deeper onto the corridor, looking for Class 1A. When he finally got inside, his eyes met a scene straight from anime. Some blonde guy sitting with feet on his table, and the same Robocop from Auditory Hall screaming at him so he can take his feet off of it. It's you! Bluenet screamed, lunging towards Izuku, who took his stance to be able to counter any attack. Bluenet saw it and slowed down. Don't worry, I don't want to attack you. I'm Ida Tenya, from Semi-Private Academy. I wanted to say sorry for what happened at Auditory Hall. He bowed perfectly 90 degrees 5 times. Dude, chill. We're cool. My name's Izuku Wayne, hope we'll get along. He took his hand for a shake, but then something in the blonde, who was getting scolded from Ida, clicked. No. Bucking. Way. Both of them looked in each other's eyes. After all those years, I thought I'll never see ya again, Izuku. He came towards Izuku with a warm smile on his face. Sorry, do we know each other? Blonde's face got a bit worried. You don't remember me, Iken? Then Izuku's face got swollen with tears. Kaken! He ran towards Blonde and hugged him tightly. Oh. My. Godness! Katsuki, we've got so much to talk about. How's Auntie and Uncle? Oh my God! You're all invited to our house for dinner. I'll call father and ask maids to do more of whatever we're having. Just then Izuku remembered he basically flexed. He mentally facepalmed. Let me guess, you're a recommendation student. I hate those rich kids, they get whatever they want. A brunette with tape dispensers on elbows said. If you want to know so baldy, I worked hard to get here. I was first at the both theoretical and practical tests. I could easily take down all AFU at once with 2 hours of prep time and with my newest present on me. All students shivered. Don't make a promise you can't complete. A yellow caterpillar came into the class. Most of the students were shocked. Ah, Eraserhead, I guess you're our homeroom teacher. Aiza, just how much do you know? Momo asked Izuku, who blushed lightly at the nickname I was teached by world best detective, still could be better. Wear these and meet me at training field. When everybody got there, Aizawa pointed at Izuku. Wayne, you were first at both exams, you'll be first year representative. Now, what was your record in ball throw in middle school? Aizawa asked, throwing him the ball. I was homeschooled. Izuku replied as he caught the ball. Whatever, throw it, just stay in the circle. Izuku threw it as hard as he could. 102 meters. What? I erased your quirk. Izuku and Momo smirked. I'm quirkless, Izuku said confidently. What? Almost whole class shouted. What the actual buck are you doing in hero department? You shouldn't even be here. Get out, you're expelled, Aizawa said in cold tone. No, Izuku replied. What was that? No. I won't go. I worked harder than any of my classmates. No, for last 11 years I worked harder than anyone from this school. Principal knew what he did when he accepted me. I haven't turned my dream to become a hero when I was 4, and I never will do that. Everyone, Aizawa and Momo included, was taken aback by that speech. Suddenly a bear rat-like creature stomped out of the shadows, slowly clapping. Ah, Principal, great to meet you. What is the challenge for me to stay at school? Izuku smirked at the little creature, who simply smirked back. Ah, an intelligent one, I see. All of Izuku's classmates' sweat dropped. We have 2 challenges. Meanwhile, your classmates will end this little Quirk apprehension test, and you will come back here for the last challenge. You'll have to show Snipe you can shoot properly, then seduce Midnight, and we'll come back here for you to beat the living shit out of your homeroom teacher. Ha ha ha. Cough, fine for you? Said Principal with a sudden personality change and sadistic grin, which Izuku simply returned. Can we skip to the last one? I'll call my butler for my gun at the meantime. Izuku took his hand to the face and whispered something. Okay, Aizawa-sensei, shall we go hand on hand or with weapons? Let's go hand on hand, I'll go easy on ya, kid. Izuku simply smirked. Now, since you have your suit on, may I? Be my guest. Izuku smirked, touched his heels 2 times, and suddenly a costume appeared on him, replaced red with green, also Izuku's hair. I have to thank Chala for that suit one more time, it never ceases to amaze me, Izuku said to himself as he readied himself for a fight. Go! Principal Niza shouted as 2 heroes ran at each other with fists readied. Suddenly Aizawa's capture gear wrapped around Izuku. You really thought you could do something to me? Please, kid, you're nobody, useless, quirkless punk, and I'm a pro hero. You could never win. Izuku began to laugh sadistically. You're scared, aren't ya? Let's step up with the challenge. If you win, I'll give up on my dreams and be a businessman like my father, but if I'll win, I won't only be a student here, but Mr. Aizawa will have to make an official speech that he got his ass beaten by a 15-year-old. Is it fine with you, Principal? Niza simply nodded. And you? Eraserhead? Izuku knew how to get on his nerves. I'm in, and since I already won, get out. Angry Aizawa said as he tightened grip of his capture grip. First mistake, never underestimate your opponent. Izuku smirked as his wings cut his capture grip. My suit isn't only for looks, you know. Izuku flew high into the air and then dived into Aizawa with such speed that Aizawa got knocked into the wall. Is that the end? Asked a blonde with a lightning bolt on his bangs. We're far from done, Izuku and Niza said in unison. Aizawa jumped from now bent wall straight to his student, throwing punches at him with such speed Izuku couldn't have catch up. Izuku flew back and got on one knee. That's all you got, kid? I'm not really surprised, Aizawa said in cold tone with a bit of confidence. Suddenly Niza started lagging dramatically. Get ready, Aizawa. It was good to have you as a teacher at UA. Izuku got up and knuckled his fists. My turn. Izuku flew into Aizawa, kneeling his gut. Then before Aizawa flew into wall again, Izuku flew behind him and uppercut him, sending out a bit of kinetic energy he stored inside. Aizawa was flying high. Suddenly Izuku came next to him. It ends here. He punched him into the ground, sending all of his kinetic energy. Aizawa was punched so hard he made a crater upon contact. Izuku flew to the ground couple of seconds later. He didn't even break a sweat. He smirked towards the principal. When can I expect the video? Nisa smirked. I already like you. Do you play chess? Alfred came with Izuku's gun alongside his father. Bruce saw Izuku laying on the floor, talking to principal. Almight was doing an apprehension test, and there was a big crater on the field, with some brunette guy laying inside. Izuku, what is this? Bruce pointed at the crater. I will explain, Mr. Wayne. Meanwhile, you, Izuku, go to the shooting range. Your second challenge will await you there. Izuku came to the shooting range, dressed in his pea suit, with his gun loaded, 2 more magazines in his hand. He knew exactly what to do. You have your own gun. Do whatever you want to then. Snipe said as he leaned on a wall. Izuku shooted his first magazine with what seemed like pure chaos. Then he reloaded, signed and shooted at head with such precise that every bullet hit the exact same spot every time. He did it with 2 other magazines. Snipe was confused. What was that first magazine, kid? Izuku smiled. Stand behind me and slowly walk backwards. Snipe did what he said. Chaos of bullets slowly merged into a done sign. Snipe was shocked. He smiled underneath the mask. Nice. Lastly, he had to seduce Midnight. Izuku's class was watching him since he took his time at the shooting range. They ended their apprehension tests. He came inside the room where Midnight was. He asked, No physical contact, or do you want pure bliss? Come on, ya miss? He asked as he took his shirt off. Midnight was already blushing hard. What on earth is going on? I've seen so much, and yet he makes me blush. I'm getting old, Midnight thought to herself. Momo was fierce with pure jealousy. Other girls were blushing madly. Momo wasn't an exception. Izuku came closer. His face was centimeters from hers. Midnight wasn't controlling herself. She kissed him on the lips. When everybody saw it, they had mixed feelings. Some blushed, some were jealous that they couldn't be on Izuku's place, and Momo was just angry. She stepped out of the observatory room, came inside the room that Izuku and Midnight were, and pulled Izuku off Midnight. She stormed out of the room, pulling Izuku after her. How could she? It was your first kiss. I wanted to take it. Wait, what am I saying? Momo blushed after thinking that. And put a shirt on, exhibitionist. Izuku looked at Momo with a smirk. Don't like what you see? He flexed his muscles to get on Momo's nerves. Momo blushed deeper. Izuku changed into his uniform, came into the class, and immediately got surrounded by his classmates. Some were amazed by his suit, some by his passion, some said he was manly. And a brown-haired girl approached him. You saved me at the entrance exam. You were busy earlier, so I waited. Thank you very much. She hugged him. My name is Ochako Uraraka. Nice to meet you, Uraraka. As you might know, I'm Izuku Wayne. Hope we get along. But there was one bay-haired kid who watched him from distance. He was jealous of his relationship with Momo, and that he was angry he was better than him. Izuku got out of school, Katsuki to his left, and Momo to his right. Come on, Katsuki, I've got a lot to tell you. Chapter 5. Come on, Katsuki, I've got a lot to tell you. Izuku was coming home with Katsuki and Momo. They both called their parents and agreed to meet Wayne's at dinner. Katsuki saw Momo was really close to Izuku. He had to ask. So, what are you two? Both of them looked at him askingly. You two seem very close. Too close if you asked me. Now spill it. Momo blushed slightly. Izuku smirked, pulled her closer. We're a couple. He winked towards her as she blushed deep red, then turned towards Katsuki and raised his eyebrow. Jelly? Ash blonde firecracker smirked as well. Fists bumped him and they walked towards his home. When they came inside, after taking off their boots, they walked to the living room to see Wayne's. Yaoyorozu and Bakuthus talking while drinking wine. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Yaoyorozu. Great to see you again, Auntie, Uncle. Izuku said as he came in first. Bakuthus looked at him in disbelief. If it wasn't for Katsuki, they would never recognize him. Mitsuki Bakugo, the Lady of Rage herself, came towards Granette, smirked, and pulled him in tight hug. You grew up so much now, tell me, what happened? Inko never told me what happened. You mean my mother? I would like to meet her one day, if it's okay with you, father? Izuku said, looking towards his father, who was greeting Izuku's friends. Bruce simply nodded. Just be careful, Izuku. Izuku smiled. Alfred came in with dinner. They sat at the table. Then Masaru Bakugo, the only stable Shizuku in Bakugo household, asked a very delicate question. So, why did you adopt Izuku, Mr. Wayne? Izuku looked at his father. May I? Bruce smiled and nodded. When my biological mother found out I was quirkless, she gave up on me totally. She left me in a park bench all to myself. Father walked the same park. When he bumped at me, he tried to give me back to her, but she told us she wanted to raise a hero, and since I was quirkless she thought I won't be one. I was beyond depressed. Father took care of me, raised like his own, and he never gave up on me, so I've decided to never give up either. He gave me everything I could ever want. He did so much to me, I will never lose respect to him, and even though I won't be able to repay him, I'll do my best to be best hero there could ever be. Izuku said with tears in his eyes. They ate the dinner, and it was time for Bakuthus to leave the house. Thank you for your hospitality. If you'll ever need anything, tell Katsuki and I'll do my best to help you, okay, Izuku? Mitsuki asked. Of course, Auntie. Izuku hugged her, so he did to Uncle Masaru, then came towards Katsuki. Hang in there, firecracker. See ya tomorrow. He took his hand forward. Katsuki smirked. Yeah, see ya tomorrow, Casanova. And so they left. Bruce and Izuku came back to the table, where Selena was showing photos of young Izuku training with his brothers. They trusted Yaoyorozu, so they lifted the veil of secrecy a bit, and told them that Dick, Jay and Tim were Vigilanites in USA. Izuku looked once again at the onyx-eyed beauty and his heart skipped a bit. Momo, could we talk in private? Momo obviously nodded in agreement. They went outside, to the gardens. They sat on a wooden bench. Izuku blushed and started. At the ground. So I want to tell you that I've had this feeling in me. Whenever you are close, whenever you leave, I am not sure if you feel like this as well, but I think I love you, Momo. Even though you were my friend for such a short period of time, I've got attached to you. I don't know if it will ruin our friendship, but I have to say this. Momo Yaoyorozu, I love you, he said, looking at her. She looked surprised. Suddenly she started crying. Izuku Wayne, you scared the life out of me. I've felt something like this as well, but I was scared that I'll ruin everything. I might not be your first kiss. She said through tears, coming closer. But you'll be mine, and that's all I care about. Before Izuku could do anything, she kissed him. Izuku melted into the kiss fast. The kiss was full of passion, love, and no lust was found in it. They kissed each other until they had to break for air. Pant Momo? Will you make me the happiest 15-year-old on earth and become my girlfriend? Momo smiled widely. I'd love to, Izuku. She sat closer and hugged him. Okay, you can come out, guys. Suddenly Elder Waynes and Yaoyorozu came from behind a bush. How did he? Inaki looked at Bruce askingly. Just roll with it. He picked it from his father. Selena chuckled and Bruce pouted. So are we in-laws yet? Slightly drunk Hisashi asked. Izuku looked at Momo and smirked. Soon, Momo blushed a little. They went inside again. It was time for Yaoyorozu to come back home. But Hisashi, a bit more drunk, that wine was so good, spoke. Maybe you guys would like to stay together for a night? You know, since you'll get married either way. Momo blushed in 50 shades of red at the thought of sleeping with her boyfriend. Izuku simply smirked. If it's fine with you and Momo, then I'm sure we'll be more than happy to host her at WMJ. Momo looked at her parents with a shy smile. I mean, if I have my cosmetics and my pajamas, I'd love to sleep here. Both parents looked at each other and smiled. I'll make sure that Tsunade brings your belongings here. Just come back home after school tomorrow. Momo nodded and came closer to Izuku once again. See you tomorrow, Hisashi. Goodbye, Inaki. Wayne said their goodbyes to Yaoyorozu. Momo and Izuku went to Izuku's room. It's 5 p.m. We have a lot time until it's time for sleep. Would you like some casual clothes? I know that uniforms can be uncomfortable. Izuku asked as he took his uniform jacket. His shirt was tight and his muscles were seen through it. Momo, after seeing it, blushed and started drooling. Like what you see, darling? Izuku asked. If you took it off, I would like the show even more. Momo whispered, as she looked away, blushing and pouting. Izuku heard what she said. He slowly unbuttoned his shirt. Like this? Izuku said, slowly dropping his shirt onto the floor. He came closer to her. She looked at his hard abs and his muscles. Izuku placed his hand on her chin, turned her face toward his. My eyes are up here, beautiful. Momo smirked, got on her toes and kissed him. Placing her hands on his neck, he meted into the kiss. His hands wandered to her waist. His hands slowly reached her bottom and lightly groped it, causing Momo to moan. He took his opportunity and placed his tongue into her mouth. The tongues battled for dominance. Izuku obviously won. He explored the unknown territory and slowly claimed it. Momo pushed him a little onto the bed and laid on him, kissing him, still kissing him. Hey Greenie! Your girl's clothes are here. Jason came onto the room. Kicking the door open, he saw what was going on the bed. Buck shit. Now it's just me, kill me. I'll die a virgin either way. He screamed as he left the bag inside the room. Leaving the room, he said, at least use a protection. I don't want to be an uncle, and I'm pretty sure nor Bruce nor Selena wants to be a grandparents yet. Izuku quickly got up from now blushing Momo and closed the door. Damn, he would get on with Katsuki. Izuku jokingly said. Meanwhile, Momo was freaking out. I'm done. I'm so done. She starts muttering. Izuku quickly got her out of it by pecking her on the lips. Thank you, I'll go get changed. No, I'll go. If you go to the bathroom, there is a chance Jay will go in there just like he came here, and to avoid that, I'll wait behind the doors. He got out of the room. After some time, Momo opened the door. He came inside to see her in his hoodie with a bat symbol on it. It was a bit too big for her, but she liked how she felt in it. Black leggings and white ankle socks. Her uniform with tights were folded next to the bag with her things. Beautiful. But you still have to give that hoodie back, Izuku smirked. I know. It was laying on the chair and it looks so comfy. You aren't mad at me or anything like that, baby? No, it's fine. Well, time to change. Izuku once again closed the door, took his sweatpants and dark green t-shirt with "Why so serious?" and Joker's face on it out of the wardrobe. He took his shirt off once again and put the t-shirt on. He wanted to change his pants as well, but he might have forgotten about his girlfriend. Without turning around, he said, You're drooling again, honey. He turned around just to see Momo wiping her face with his hoodie's sleeve. He turned around once again and stated to unbuckle his belt from his pants. He slowly took them off and quickly put sweatpants on. Sorry to ruin the show. I don't really like to be in a spotlight. He started folding his clothes. The night came by fast. Izuku and Momo talked to each other, cuddled and watched some old-timey romance movies. They slept in each other's arms like they were newlyweds. They loved each other, and they only cared about that. Finished. Yay. Chapter 6. They loved each other, and they only cared about that. Next day came, sun rose, beam of light flew towards Izuku's face. He rubbed his eyes, trying to remember what happened yesterday. Izuku felt some weight on his chest. He lowered his head just to see Momo, snoring cutely. He smiled, looked to his right, clock displayed 6:30. 1.5 hours to get to school. He played with her hair, looking at her in awe. Damn, I'm so lucky, Izuku thought as he felt Momo move. She opened her eyes, rubbed them and looked where she was. She looked up and noticed Izuku smiling at her. Morning, beautiful. He placed his hand on her chin, pulled her higher and kissed her passionately. Jay came bursting into the room. Green awake dash. He saw them making out. For Buck's sake! He got out raging. Huh, well that happened, Momo said jokingly. We need to get ready. I can do your hair, while you brush your teeth to make it faster, baby. Izuku got her hairband on his hand, like it was a bracelet. She obviously nodded in agreement. Got up from his chest, took her uniform and went to the bathroom. Izuku followed her close behind. She started to brush her teeth. He combed her hair, then he did the usual, the spiky ponytail on top with the bangs on right side of her head. He poked her cheek and then began to brush his teeth as well. She finished earlier than him, so she hugged him from behind. As Izuku finished brushing his teeth, he got out of bathroom to let Momo get changed and to get changed as well. They met downstairs, their backpacks on their backs. "Alfred, could you give us a ride to school?" Izuku asked Alfred, who was currently making eggs and bacon for everyone for breakfast. Everybody quickly eats, and then Momo and Izuku went to school with Alfred. In the limo, Momo looked at Izuku and asked, "Aizawa, are we, official?" Izuku smiled. "Only if you want us to be, honey." Momo smiled and hugged Izuku tightly. "Then we're coming into the school as a officially first couple of Class 1A. She smiled widely and pecked his cheek. They went through the school holding hands, gaining few glares of jealousy. When they came into the classroom, everyone glared at them. They both simply replied, "Hi guys." At the same time, they sat next to each other. Since there were only 2 empty seats, guess why? They sat on their places and some students began to circle them. "Yaoyorozu, Wayne, why were you holding hands?" Gaining attention of whole class, even Todoroki, who was looking out the window, Momo smiled widely and came closer to Izuku. "I think that'll make for a reply." Before he could do anything, she kissed him on the lips. They melted into the kiss and kissed until Mr. Aizawa came into the room full of band-aids. "Stop with the PDA or you'll be expelled." Izuku knew he was lying and scared of him, but Momo was slightly scared, so she came back to her seat. Aizawa cleared his throat. "Wayne, I wanted to say I'm sorry for my behavior yesterday. I hope you'll forgive me and continue learning in Udata." Izuku stood up from his seat, came in front of Aizawa and bowed. "I should be the one apologizing. I went overboard. And I would love to continue learning here." Izuku straightened himself and smiled. Aizawa took his hand out. "We good?" Izuku chuckled. "Sure." He shook his hand and got to his seat. "Okay, now. You need a class president and a vice president. Choose one before homeroom ends," Aizawa said as he got in his sleeping bag. "Pick me." Most of the class erupted. Ida stood up. "We should vote. This way everybody will have fair chance." And so they did. Momo created a basket and some paper strips. After counting of the voices, the table was looking like this. Izuku 5. Type 3. Rest of class 1 or 0. Izuku took Momo's hand and they got to the front of class. "Looks like destiny chose to connect us once again, darling," Izuku said as they were going there. After a speech of "we'll do our best," they sat down once again. "Who do you think will teach us heroics, class?" They sat in classroom. The lunch was disrupted by alarm, but Izuku grappled to the ceiling and calmed everybody down. Suddenly doors went blown away. Izuku reacted fastly and threw an electric batarang at the doors. Almight went inside. He was cut by electrocution. Izuku quickly deactivated the electricity and bowed in front of Hiro. "Sorry, sensei, instincts took over me." All Might looked at the teenager and smiled wider, if it's even possible. "No problem, young Wayne. Now get to your seat, please." Izuku did as he was told, then All Might asked to meet him at the field beta, in their hero costumes. In the men's changing room, Izuku got to his briefs and started putting on shoes. "Dude, I don't think that's how you do it," Kaminari said. "I don't want my uniform all messed up, you know." It confused most of boys in the changing room, but Izuku tucked his heels 2 times and his costume appeared on him. "TSK. Show off," Bakuga said. Izuku smirked and got out to the field beta. He talked to All Might for a bit, and his class started to get out of the tunnel. When he saw Momo's suit, he was taken aback but angry at the same time. He made a sphere around them, using his wings, and whispered, "This weekend we're going to Wakanda to my good friend. She made my suit and she will make one for you, okay, honey?" Momo nodded. "Great, now." He kissed her forehead. "Remember, you're mine." She blushed a bit, then smirked and kissed him on lips passionately. "Only your baby." Izuku smirked and deactivated his sphere. "Okay, class, today we will be doing battle training." Chapter 7. "Okay, class, today we will be doing battle training." At this point Izuku was pumped up. He stood by Momo, his hand on her waist, ignoring glares of jealousy and hatred towards them. All Might continued. "You will be splitted in teams of 2. Villains versus heroes. Heroes will have to either retrieve nuclear weapon, which villains will defend or capture villains in special capture tape. Heroes will be at time disadvantage as well as they will only have 15 minutes to do so. The teams will be drawn via lottery, so it should be fair. Almight said as he placed his one hand on his hips and gave them thumbs up with the other. Izuku got paired with Ida and they were heroes. They were up against Katsuki and Todoroki, who were villains. So what's our plan, Wayne? Ida asked. Bakugo will come for me, that's for sure. You'll leave him to me and run to find the bomb and try to fight Todoroki. When I'm finished with that firecracker I'll come help you. You okay with this? Asked Izuku as Ida simply nodded. Meanwhile, tell me, do you think Wayne and Yaoyorozu are a pair? Todoroki asked Bakugo. Yeah, I knew first, they told me yesterday. Why the buck do you want to know? Bakugo glared at icy hot boi. It doesn't matter. What's our plan? Todoroki asked. You stay here and I'll rip the bird's wings and Buck can eat them raw, he said as he stepped out of the room. Wait, you'll eat them while dash. Alrighty. 5 minutes of preparations are done. Heroes? Go! Almight said via speakers. Izuku and Ida proceeded towards the fake building. Bakugo surprised them by attacking around the corner. This gave Izuku some kinetic energy to store. Ida, run! Tell me when you'll find the bomb. Ida did as Izuku said. Bakugo and Wayne stared at each other. They both smirked as they ran at each other at full speed, blocking each other's punches and kicks. Izuku gained a lot of kinetic energy, to the point where every punch Bakugo threw at him caused small shockwave of energy because he couldn't store more. Izuku got tired of this and sent massive shockwave that sent Katsuki to a wall. Sorry, firecracker, but Ida is quiet. That can only mean one thing, Izuku said as he ran higher via stairs. When he got to 5th floor he saw it was almost fully covered in ice. Izuku flew towards first open doors he saw, to not give Todoroki any information about his placement. He didn't know much about his quirk, but he knew he could control ice and fire, so getting information from his ice was possible. When he got out of the room, he saw Ida with frozen body and mouth. Only his eyes were moving. He looked terrified. My hitchy father took away my normal childhood, and you took away my only childhood friend, you know. I wanted to confess to her when we get to UA, but it looks you were quicker, bravo Wayne. You took the only reason I wanted to live, Todoroki said as got out of the shadows. He looked pissed. Todoroki, she isn't some kind of toy we'll toss around. It should be her decision. I'll accept it whatever it is, cause I love her. Will you do the same? Izuku said, pointing at him. No. I'll make her love me. If there's no you, she'll love me, so all I need to do is freeze you to death, Todoroki said as he sent massive ice wave at Izuku. Some frostbites were now shown on his body. Izuku used some of his energy to get rid of the ice. You know, I prefer warm temperatures, he said as he took his bar out and spinned it. When he held it in place again it turned into trident. Izuku rushed at him. Todoroki sent another ice wave just for it to be blown away by his energy wave. Izuku placed Todoroki's arm between his trident's blades and bent her to the point where it could be broken very easily. Todoroki, you're trembling. If you want to use only half of your power cause I'm quirkless, then you're an absolute idiot. Use it. Use all of it, Todoroki. It's your power, you bucker. Izuku screamed as Todoroki used his left side. Massive flame bursted out of him and melted most of the ice in the room, including Ida. Ida, run for the weapon, I'll get Todoroki. Izuku screamed as he threw some batarangs at Todoroki. Ida rushed at the weapon, he touched it, and All Might screamed through the speakers. Hero team wins. Ida sighed in relief, but he suddenly heard scream. When he turned around he saw Izuku with his trident in his stomach area and Todoroki covered in his quirk coming towards him with fireball ready to shoot. Ida wanted to run at him, but suddenly Aizawa and All Might went through the windows. Aizawa quickly erased Todoroki's quirk and All Might took him down by chopping his neck. They got Izuku to the infirmary where he lied unconscious for a couple of hours. He woke up to a piercing pain in his stomach area. He rubbed his eyes and tried to sit, but he felt some weird weight on his chest. He looked down to the view of sleeping Momo, slightly drooling. He chuckled and played with her hair. She moved a bit and said, "Few more minutes, Aizu." But she suddenly realized what happened, and she opened her eyes and hugged him tightly. I'm so sorry about what happened, is dash. She got cut by Izuku kissing her. They broke the kiss for air. Momo quickly buried her head in his neck and silently cried. I thought you were dead, what would I do without you? Izuku patted her head and hugged her like the world was about to end. Recovery Girl got inside and saw him wide awake. You finally woke up, Sonny. I couldn't heal you or you'd die, but since you're well rested now you can be finally healed. Izuku deactivated his costume and RG kissed his wound. It was cured quickly. Momo of course blushed at his abs and made him a shirt to wear. They hugged and then Izuku asked her, You heard what Todoroki said? Momo nodded. Everybody heard. The whole conversation was heard in the control room. Almight took us. Do you still want to be with me? Izuku asked as he dropped his head down. He was met with a slap to the face and quickly afterwards a passionate kiss on the lips. When she broke the kiss, she clenched her hands on his head. I'll never leave your side, you idiot. Chapter 8. I'll never leave your side, you idiot. Izuku had tears in his eyes, not from the slap, even though it hurt like a hitch, but from the fact that Momo won't leave him. He hugged her and silently cried. I love you, Momo. She looked him in the eyes and smiled. Where the buck is my son and who did this to him? They heard Genji Selena screaming in English behind the door. Todorokis are so bucked. Izuku whispered to Momo, who looked at him confused. Selena bursted into the room and hugged Izuku tightly. Who did this to you? Who is his father? I'll kill them both. She screamed in English. His name is Shoto Todoroki, son of Genji Todoroki, number 2 Hero Endeavor. We'll pay them a visit, Bruce said as he entered the room with Jay, Tim and Dick, who were in their hero costumes. You must be Momo. Izuku told us many things about you, and so did Jay, said Dick pointing at Red Hood, who took his helmet off. Buck off, Dick. Greenie and his girl are in better relationship than you and Corey, haha. Jay screamed in his face. Are you forgetting her crush on Izuku, Jay? She was his first kiss after all, said Tim as Izuku was sweating bullets. Momo glared at him in jealousy. Izuku, who is Corey? She's my fiancé. Member of Titans, hero organization in USA, Izuku were on a couple of missions with them and stole not only her hearth but Raven's as well. And she was his first kiss, cause he speaks Japanese and she can learn languages from a kiss. She was mine first kiss as well, that's how she learned English, Dick said, sitting on a chair next to Momo. Bruce, I think it's time to tell her, Selena said to Bruce, who nodded and asked him for a smoke bomb. He threw it at the ground below him and Selena as the smoke went away. Bruce and Selena were now Batman and Catwoman. But I think you already had suspicions about my identity, right, Yaoyorozu? Bruce asked Momo. She simply nodded. The doors opened once again as Principal Nizu and Almight went inside. They were ready to fight, but Bruce took his cowl off. I believe our secret is safe with you. Nizu smirked and nodded. They said them what Detective Sakachi got from Todoroki, everything about his abusive father, his mother, and his mental state. Izuku thought about great idea which involved Momo in it. Knock knock. Genji Todoroki, number 2 Hero Endeavor, was training when he heard knocking on door of his house. He picked his shirt from the floor and went to open the door. Good morning, is Shoto here? I've decided to leave this quirkless piece of shit for him. We can make children whose quirk will be the greatest ever seen, Momo said in determined voice. Genji smiled and let her inside. They get to Shoto's room and Endeavor started knocking on the door. What do you dash? Shoto was cut off by Momo hugging him. Shoto, we can finally be together. I dumped that quirkless trash for you. I was so blind, forgive me, my love. Shoto had tears coming down his face and he hugged her tightly. He placed his hand on her chin and before he could kiss her, somebody knocked on the door once again. Todoroki's and Momo opened the door just to see angry Bruce and Selena. My son had killed himself just because of you, he said, pointing at Momo. Leave her, you idiot. She is my future daughter-in-law. I Endeavor, future hero number 1, will never let you touch her. Suddenly they heard a voice. You'll never be number 1 hero if you'll be in jail. Todoroki's looked behind them just to see Jay, Tim, Dick and Izuku in their hero costumes. And as for you, Shoto, I don't have anything to you, just give me back my girlfriend, Izuku said calmly. You must be stupid. Mr. Wayne, take your dash. Shoto looked behind. he saw Batman and Catwoman instead of Bruce and Selina, and he was confused. What the dash? Just then Momo placed Quirk restraining handcuffs on his and his father's hands. Izuku came closer to Momo. Great job, honey. She deactivated his eye mask, looked deeply inside his eyes and kissed him passionately. She broke the kiss and looked at Shoto. If you think I'll leave him to you, you are very wrong. Take them, boys, Momo said as 3 ex-Robins grinned and started to beat the living shit out of Todoroki's. 1 week later, Endeavor was put in prison. Todoroki was still at UA, but he was under strict control. After that, both Izuku and Momo forgave him, and they became close friends with him. Their squad was now Izuku, Momo, Katsuki, Todoroki, Jiraiya, who was Momo's close friend, and Denki, who Momo and Izuku are trying to get together with Jiraiya. Izuku and Momo came to WMJ one day after class to hang out. They came inside just to meet Yaoyorozu and Wayne's conversating. Hey guys, they said to their parents. Tell us how about you two live together. Chapter 9. Tell us how about you two live together. Bruce's words took both teenagers away. They were surprised, and Momo's mind already got filled with nasty thoughts about her living and sleeping with her boyfriend. I don't have anything against it, so it's up to Momo, really, Izuku said as Momo's eyes already filled with joy. Yes, she screamed, jumping and punching air out of joy. Everyone else in the room simply chuckled and smiled at her showcase of joy. After realizing what she did, she blushed madly, got back on her 2 feet, and tried to regain her calm. Cough if Suzu is fine with this. Everybody's sweat dropped. Bruce then stood up and said, We can buy you a medium-sized house 5 minutes to school. But we have one condition. Momo and Izuku looked at him. What is it, Father/Mr. Wayne? Bruce smirked. You won't have any maids, and it's up to you to clean the house and get groceries. We will only give you money. How about that? Izuku looked at Momo as she looked at him. They both nodded at each other. We're fine with it, they said in unison. Should we start packing? Their parents were kinda confused but happy as well. Yes. Since tomorrow is Friday, you will come to your houses for the cartons, and then Alfred will ride you to your new house. Or do you want to ride you there, Izuku? Bruce asked, looking at his son. You mean the last year's birthday gift, father? Izuku looked askingly at Bruce. Yeah, we've just imported it, so you can drive it to school tomorrow and go to your new house as well, said Bruce as he tossed Izuku keys to his Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 that him and Selina got him for his 16th birthday. He has a driving license from USA, so they decided to give him some independence. Let's say it's dark green. Izuku thought for a second and smiled. We can go there with my car, Kay? He looked at Momo, who nodded. After that, they began packing his stuff. Then they went to Yaoyorozu mansion and packed her stuff. Next day at school flew rather quickly. Momo and Izuku drove there with his car, and they came back home the same way. Ida, of course, scolded him about driving without license, but Izuku quickly shut him by shoving his license into his eyes. They came to their new house, since they packed their stuff to the car yesterday, and looked at it in awe. They saw Bruce and Hisashi outside, waving at them. They parked in the garage, which Bruce opened, and came outside with the boxes. The place is furnitured, so you don't have to worry about beds, shelves, and so on. In the garage is a secret switch to a basement where you can store your hero stuff later on. Then Izuku remembered something. Oh shoot. Father? Could you call King Chala that we will visit him tomorrow? Momo could use new suit, and because if this whole to-do drama I forget about it. Or you just want to meet Shuri. Bruce teased. Sai, I hate you. Izuku mumbled under his breath, as Momo had already a knife in hand. Who's Shuri, Zuzu? She asked with a psychotic grin. Stop with that Yandere, Momo. She's a friend, girlfriend. Bruce teased. She proposed to you after all, and I believe that your suit was a wedding gift from Chala, father. Izuku unconsciously got into his suit. Zuzu. Izuku looked towards Momo. I'll have to make you mine again, she said as she got closer to Izuku. Then she got on her toes and kissed him passionately. Yaoyorozu's and Wayne's left Izuku and Momo's house. They were alone. Momo asked Izuku to get into the bedroom in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, Izuku heard her voice from upstairs. Zuzu. Izuku got from his chair and came into the bedroom, When he opened the door, he saw naked Momo on the bed. Lemon skipped. They slept hugged into each other, knowing this was just another step of their relationship. Chapter 10. They slept hugged into each other, knowing this was just another step of their relationship. Next day, they woke up feeling refreshed with Momo cuddled to Izuku's chest. They got up and readied themselves. Izuku did Momo's hair just like always. Even though it was Saturday, Izuku asked Momo to get into her hero costume. They stayed in front of the house, in their hero costumes in silence, until Momo asked, "Aizawa, why are we here?" Izuku didn't say anything, he simply got closer, hugged her with one arm and pointed the other arm into the sky. Momo didn't see when he got his grappling hook in hand, he shot it upwards, scaring Momo a bit. "Aizu? What are you doing?" She was cut off by the clang, sound of the hook attaching to something. She looked at Izuku in fear and mouthed, "Don't why dare!" Izuku simply smirked and tapped the trigger. The gun started to propel them upwards. When they came into the invisible ship, Momo looked like she saw a ghost. Meanwhile Izuku simply smiled. He looked around. "Come on, my king, it won't work on me," he said, looking around even more. Suddenly Chala appeared in his suit next to Momo. "I know, but it will work on her." Momo started screaming and hugging Izuku's arm in her breasts of shock. Izuku and Chala shared a laugh. When Momo regained herself, Izuku and Chala made their handshake, which consisted of a 5, back 5, fist, Wakandan symbol and a bow. Momo looked angry at Chala and shouted, "Who do you think you are?" Izuku interrupted her. "He's the king of Wakanda. One of the leaders in technology in the whole world and the pro-hero Black Panther honey." Momo was freaked out and immediately bowed in front of Chala. "I'm sorry for it, my king." Chala cluckled and deactivated his helmet. "It's okay, Miss Wayne. You are wife of my best friend, you are as welcome in Wakanda as he is." This made Izuku smirk and Momo to blush. "I'm not his wife." Izuku put his hand on her waist and stood behind her. "You are the love of my life. We live together, I don't think we need to be married to be called wife and husband, my sweet Momo." Izuku kissed top of her head and hugged her tightly. Chala, awed by the showcase of affection of young couple, then smiled widely. "Shuri won't be happy about that, Izuku, you know?" Izuku's sweat dropped, remembering what happened yesterday. "Yeah, well, if anything happens, like Momo's Yandere side going crazy again, we leave rather quickly," Izuku said, looking at his beloved in his arms. Momo simply smiled. "Don't worry, Aizu, I won't do that again anytime soon." She then hugged him tightly, with her head going into crook of his neck. When they arrived, they were met by Nakia and Shuri, waving at them and the king's guards on sides. They get out of the airplane, Momo in the middle with Izuku and Chala on her sides. She was hugging Izuku's arm in between her breasts. Shuri saw it and ran to them. "Leave my Zuzu alone!" Izuku readied his staff and pointed it towards Shuri. "Stop! How many times do we have to get through this?" Izuku looked at Momo, who was holding him like the world was about to end. "Ah, Queen Nakia, nice to see you again," Izuku said as he packed his staff into one of his pockets in his utility belt. Nakia got closer as well. "Izuku, great to see you. Who's that girl there?" She pointed at Momo. Izuku smirked and said, "My wife." Momo blushed madly and showed the ring Izuku and Chala asked her to make in the plane. It was gold ring with nice green and black gems on it. Shuri had tears in eyes. "I'll go prepare lab," and ran away, most likely crying. Izuku looked at Chala and said, "Sorry, I guess." Chala shrugged. "It's not your fault. Stuff like that happens, right, Nakia?" He looked at Nakia, who smiled and nodded. They arrived at the lab. Momo was awestruck all the time. When they came inside, Shuri was again all beaming in joy. "Momo, right? I think you know me, I'm Shuri, Izuku's ex-dash." After that, Ramonda came and karate chopped her in head. "Shuri! Sorry about her, Momo. She's jealous of Izuku. I'm Ramonda, mother of this super duo," she said as she pointed to Chala, scolding Shuri. Shuri took Momo for a trip around the lab. "So, what he's like?" Shuri asked. Momo wasn't sure what she meant. "Pardon?" Shuri smirked. "In bed, of course." Momo blushed but then smirked as well. "Godly body, godly in bed." They got to the showcase with a new suit for Momo. Shuri opened it. "I hope it fits." I redesigned your previous, so hope you like it. It has many traits Zuka's suit has. It also stores kinetic energy, and can make huge waves of energy. The panel on wrist has database which updates daily. It shows what anything you think of is made of. The belts are for snacks, since your quirk base is on lipids. Shuri said as Momo got dressed into her new suit. Momo tried it on. It works fine. Thank you, Shuri. Shuri smiled and got to another gauntlet on the table. And this one is for Zuku. It has built-in grappling hooks, so he won't need his lame gun anymore. It also has communicator, which communicates with the panel on your suit, and the communications can't be disrupted or jammed by anything. Shuri said, giving her Izuku's suit part. They all said their goodbyes, hugs. Shuri kissed Izuku's cheek much to Momo's displeasure, and Wayne's once again got into the plane. On the plane, Izuku got text message from Bakugas. They invited them for dinner. His biological mother will be there too. Izuku frowned, which didn't go unnoticed by Momo. Aiza, is everything fine? Looks like we have family reunion tomorrow, Izuku said, hugging his girlfriend tightly. Chapter 11. Looks like we have family reunion tomorrow, Izuku said, hugging his girlfriend tightly. Momo wasn't sure what was going to happen tomorrow, but with Izuku next to her, she was sure it will be fine. They got home, dressed into some casual stuff, and placed their costumes on hideable stands in the garage along with Izuku's equipment. They showered, not together hentai baka, and got to bed together. Momo rubbed her belly. Do you think we'll have a baby? Izuku smiled. I hope so. One more reason for me to love you, Izuku said as he kissed her on the forehead. Momo giggled and turned around with him. Now she lied on his chest. Good night, honey, Momo said as she was quick asleep. Izuku played a bit with her hair and thought what tomorrow will bring before snuggling into Momo and sleeping like a baby. Next day they woke up pretty quickly. After a quick makeout session they got dressed. As always, Momo brushed her teeth as Izuku did her hair. But it was special occasion, so he didn't make her a ponytail as always, he just styled it. Momo as always finished earlier than him, so she went and dressed herself. Izuku brushed his teeth and got to their bedroom just to see Momo in her underwear picking a dress. He smiled, took his shirt off and hugged her from behind. We have way too much time to go there, honey. He gently bit her neck and smiled. She moaned a bit and blushed lightly. She smiled as well. I know. She moved her hand over his godly body. You really want children, don't you? Izuku smiled. Yes, please, at least 3 of them. Momo blushed, and she was quite surprised. 3? Izuku nodded. 2 boys and a girl. Momo smiled. Oh my, let's get to war then. She quickly turned around in session, which most porno sites would kill to have started. After 2 hours of restless hex they got off each other and went to shower. They showered together since they didn't have much time. They quickly dressed. Izuku went with a dark green suit with same color vest above plain white shirt and a black tie. Momo went with long red dress and necklace. Her untied hair were giving her plus 50 to looks. They got to his car and drove to Bakugo household. They entered with a bouquet of flowers. Mitsuki Bakugo, who was dressed rather semi-casual with jeans shirt above black pencil dress, answered the door. She took the flowers and showed them where the table was. They got to the dining room to see a small woman with dark green hair drinking wine with Masaru, while Katsuki was just pouring them more. They were talking about something, when Katsuki saw Izuku and Momo. Finally, you damn nerd. They almost finished the bottle, he said, which turned all the attention to them. Izuku waved to Masaru. Hey, uncle! Momo did the same. Good afternoon, Mr. Bakugo. Then they looked at the little lady. I don't think we know each other. I'm Izuku Wayne and this is my fiancée, Momo Yaoyorozu. Katsuki smirked at him as Momo got her hand forward. It's nice to meet you, miss? The little lady had dollars in her eyes. My name is Inko Midoriya, but you both can just call me Inko, she said as she shook Momo then Izuku's hand. They sat to the dinner served by Mitsuki. Itadakimasu! They all screamed as they began to eat the food. Inko was clearly interested in the boy. So, how do you know Bakugo's young one? Izuku stopped chewing. Well, they were almost like a family before I left Japan. When I came back I got to the same class as that firecracker dash. He pointed at Katsuki. So we met again. Inko looked at him. Why would you leave such an amazing place like this? Izuku frowned. Well, my mother left me, and my father was from America. That's where I've spent most of my life. Why would she do this? Izuku looked her dead in the eyes. Because you thought I was useless kid, look where I am now. I go to UA, I have an amazing fiancé and a great family. To be honest, I want to thank you. If you wouldn't left me, I would sit in your flat, most likely getting beaten every now and then, and I would never met people who helped me become who I am now. After he said that, he bit to the food casually as ever. He and Momo finished the food as early as possible. Well, thanks for the food, Auntie, but we gotta go. The deeds are calling. Izuku took Momo by the hand. See ya at school, firecracker. By Uncle Boku. They got out of the place as fast as possible. In their home, Izuku and Momo changed into more comfy attire. Well, that was something, Izuku said, rubbing her belly, lying on each other. Yeah, you know the deed needs to be done. She blushed hard saying that. Izuku started to kiss her neck. Let's do the deed then. Just as things were about to get interesting, Jason kicked the door. What's up, Greenie? When he got a glimpse of Momo's boob, he was in pure bliss. I can die at last. Izuku threw an electric batarang in his neck, causing him to drop to floor flat. Izuku and Momo got downstairs, just to see Wayne's talking to Almight. What brings you here, sensei? Izuku: Wayne, would you like to be my successor? Chapter 12 Training Arc / Part 1 / Izuku: Wayne, would you like to be my successor? Izuku was looking at Almight with a serious face. Momo was still with Izuku while the Waynes was standing near the table in the living room. The Waynes was curious what Izuku would accept or not. To be honest, the Waynes wanted Izuku to be the successor of One for All. Momo was confused and was looking at both Almight and Izuku. She didn't know what Almight meant by being my successor. I'm sorry, but no. I don't need your power to become the #1 hero, Izuku said, serious tone. Almight was shocked at being rejected. Almight only thought of him on being his successor, and he was the perfect person to have the power, no one else. Almight tried to find any candidate to be his successor. At this, Almight didn't know what to do, but he will ask again. Izuku, I don't know about your past, but why don't you want to have my power? Asked Almight. All I got to say is that I don't need it. I can become a hero myself without your power, and I will prove it to the world, said Izuku in confidence. The Waynes was looking at Izuku with a happy smile while Momo was still confused on what they are talking about, so she decided to ask both of them. Izuku, honey, what does he mean by being my successor, and why is he asking you, and why did you reject him? Asked Momo. Izuku sighed and knew he have to make an explanation to them. I will tell you, Momo, but promise me to keep this a secret and do not tell anyone about this, said Izuku in a serious voice. Almight was sweating bullets, but also worried if Izuku knows what he is doing by telling his future wife my secret. You can trust me, honey, I won't say a word about this, said Momo while she was looking at Almight, wondering if this had to do with him. Is it okay if I can tell her, Almight? Asked Izuku, turning back to Almight. I am fine if you do, but make sure she doesn't tell anyone about this. If anyone will find out about my secret, it can be bad, answered Almight. Izuku then turned back to Momo and looked at her straight into her eyes while Momo was looking back at him with a confused look. I'm going to tell you something about Almight and what happened to him, so don't get worried and shocked about this, and remember, don't tell anyone, said Izuku, making Momo nod in agreement. Izuku sighed as he was going to tell this story to her while Almight was kinda nervous too, but he just watched how Momo will react. The Waynes was just talking to each other on what's going to happen. Almight has an injury that is really bad for him, even if he looks fine, but he really is not. A couple years back, Almight was fighting with a villain that is extremely powerful that stabbed him into his stomach, that made him injured so bad that he was going to die, but lucky for him he survived. But the bad thing is that he has not that much time on using his power since he got that injury on him. The injury made him weak, so he can only be in his hero form for 3 hours at max, but his other form is his skinny weak body that he will transform into, but he can still use his hero form. But right now his time is going up. Basically, he is going to lose his quirk and become weak soon, so that's why he's saying that if I wanted to be his successor by giving me his power, and also his One for All have been passed down to each successor, that's why he is looking for one, but he needs to find someone that is capable to have his power. said Izuku, making Momo gasp in shock. She then turned to All Might, who was still in his hero form and looking back at Izuku. Is this true, All Might?" asked Momo in a worried voice. "Yes, it's true," All Might said with a sad smile while standing in front of Izuku and Momo after a bit of silence. Momo was going to ask Izuku why he rejected him, but then something happens when she was going to say something. Poof! A loud sound made Momo look at All Might. When she looked, she was totally shocked. While looking at All Might transformed into his weak form and coughed a bit of blood from his mouth and wiped off his blood with his hand. "I asked that you, All Might," said Momo, looking at him with a worried look. "Yes, it is me," said All Might while staying still. Izuku was looking at him with a small frown, and made him remember when he first found out about All Might's secret. Flashback. Izuku was walking down the hallway of U.A. He reached the door to the school teacher office to speak to Aizawa about his grades and ask a question on what's going to happen next week since it's a Friday, and once Izuku made it, he went inside to see All Might in his hero form. Then he transformed into his weak form that made Izuku gasp at him. All Might looked at him in shock that Izuku seen him in his both forms now. All Might run to the door and closed it. "What are you doing here, and you can't tell no one about this, young Midoriya?" said All Might strictly. Izuku nodded at him and asked, "Why are you like this, All Might?" All Might just sighed since he knew that this was going to happen. To be honest, he was glad that Izuku has caught him, cause All Might was thinking if Izuku should be his successor. All Might wasn't sure, but he thinks that he is the right person to have his powers, but he will talk to him about that later. All Might went to his seat and sat on the chair and made a small frown. "It's a long story, young Midoriya, so take a seat on the chair and I will explain," said All Might. Izuku just nodded and took a seat behind the table across from All Might. They talked about what happened and All Might told him everything, even about One for All. Izuku was shocked but also serious about Sai. It can be bad if All Might was dead. So after the talk, Izuku promised All Might that he won't tell anyone about this. That made All Might smile, and after a bit Izuku left back to his class. End of flashback. Izuku got out of his memory and looked at both All Might and Momo looking at him with a curious look. Izuku sighed, and he knew what was happening. "What is it you want?" said Izuku while looking at them with a little bit of a frown. Momo looked down a bit seeing Izuku was frowning and said, "Well, we wanted to know why you didn't accept All Might's power. Why are you not accepting the power from him? I mean, he is dying, and we need someone with his power to protect the city from villains." All Might was also frowning at him not accepting this power. All Might is not trying to force Izuku on giving his powers, but he was the only one that he can trust and is already trained and is powerful for All Might's power. But All Might was also desperate. He only have about a half year to find someone with his power to help and defeat All for One, but the only problem is Izuku is not going to accept his powers and be his successor. Izuku made his fist tight and gritting his teeth without All Might and Momo noticing it. Izuku decided he won't tell them his secret, but he will tell them his fake truth. Izuku sighed and decided to tell them a lie, but he also knew that he didn't want a power, he had something different, and also Izuku finally thought of a great idea. "Look, all I got to say is I don't need your power. I'm not saying this to be rude, but I don't need your power to become a hero. I can become a hero without anyone's power, and you guys need to respect my decision. And I'm so sorry, All Might, but you are just going to find someone else, so I'm deeply sorry, but that's my decision," Izuku said while cooling his fist a bit, and he calm. All Might was sad not because Izuku rejected him, he was sad because he needed to find someone with his power to give, but his time is running out, he needed to be quick, so All Might decided that he will give up. Momo was listening but her head was down a bit. She understand All Might and why he needed Izuku, but he rejected them. Momo wished that Izuku accepted that offer, but she was just disappointed at him. Izuku then put his hands in his pockets. All Might started to turn around, but then he got stopped by Izuku and faced him, while Izuku gave All Might a small smile. "Look, I know that you don't have much time, but I know who can be your successor," said Izuku with a small smile and with a confident face. All Might and Momo was shocked, but then they both smiled. All Might was relieved that Izuku might know someone that can handle his problem, while Momo was also relieved that Izuku knows someone that can be All Might's successor. All Might decided to speak. So young Midoriya, who is this person that can be my successor? Asked Almight while putting his hands on his hips with a smile of joy. Chapter 13 Trained Arc / Part 2 / Day 1 Izuku's POV. So young Midoriya, who is this person that can be my successor? Asked Almight while putting his hands on his hips with a smile of joy. Present. Izuku was looking at Almight and Momo. He was nervous to tell them who it is. The reason why he is nervous is because it's Momo, the one that he loves so much, and he doesn't want her to be nervous by taking the power, and he is also scared that All Might would not choose her to be his successor, and all tbh Izuku already have a theory if All Might's in the hospital, or worse if he dies in the near future, villains will probably come up the ranks and start to take out each hero till they get to their goal, and even the powerful villains will take over. That's the reason why Izuku is going to make Momo All Might's successor and become the new generation of One for All. All Might and Momo got ready to hear Izuku to tell him who is this person that can be All Might's successor. I want Momo to be your successor, said Izuku, making both All Might and Momo widen in shock. Momo got out of her shock and comes up next to Izuku, looking at him with a serious face. Izuku, I don't think I should be All Might's successor. I mean, I don't even know how to master my own quirk, but if I became All Might's successor, I don't think that I can have his power. I mean, I'm not strong enough, stated Momo, looking down a bit with a small frown. Izuku then graced her chin with his fingers and pulled up her face to make her look at him. Momo, you are strong. Momo, don't doubt yourself. I know you can do it. You are a strong and a brave person, Momo. I know when I were at the quirk exam that Aizawa has us. I seen your determination in your eyes. I can see it, Momo. Don't doubt yourself, said Izuku at a soft, loving tone. Momo then smiled at Izuku while a bunch of tears are coming out of her eyes. Izuku then embraced her with a hug and wiped her tears away. All Might was still at the same spot with a huge smile while looking at the two young couple hugging. Then Wayne's also looked at them with a huge smile. While all of the brothers took so many pictures of Izuku and Momo and left before Izuku finds them taking pictures of him. Izuku then turned back to All Might and gave him a look means he is serious. All Might, I want Momo to be your successor. She is strong and smart, so will I accept Momo, no, my future wife, to be your successor, said Izuku, making Momo blush furiously at the end of his sentence. Of course, young Yaoyorozu can be my successor, but you are going to have to train her stamina and her body. So young Midoriya, I will excuse you from school for 3 days, and do not worry about your classes. They will all be learning a bunch of history about heroes and learn about tactics for this few 3 days, so you guys can get trained for 3 days, and also I will be giving young Yaoyorozu her new power after the 3 days are gone, said All Might with a happy face. Izuku was confused. He thought that All Might would give Momo her power on the first day or the second day, but no, after the 3 days that they get to train. All Might, said Izuku, facing towards All Might with a confused look. What is it, young Midoriya? Said All Might, looking at Izuku. Why are you going to give Momo her power after 3 days? Shouldn't she have the power on the second day of training so she can control One for All? Asked Izuku while Mono turned her face towards All Might, wanting an answer to. All Might then realized he forgot about he power and started to laugh nervously. Momo and Izuku just looked at him with a confused look, and the Waynes laughed their ass off in the background. I totally forgot about that. Will ya? On your second day I will come and meet you guys here to give you my power and leave to go do some crime, said All Might, embarrassed while he put his hands on top of his head, thinking that he was so dumb for saying that. Okay, well then I think you should go, All Might. It's been good seeing you, buddy, said Bruce while putting his hand on his shoulder and went towards the two young couple. All Might then left and turned back into his hero form and left. With Izuku and Momo, they turned towards Bruce. What is it, Dad? Asked Izuku, looking curiously at his dad. You guys are going to train, right? Asked Bruce. Izuku was going to say something, but Momo cut off Izuku. Yes, we are, Mr. Wayne, said Momo respectfully. Oh, sweetie, call me Mom and my husband Dad since you are Izuku's future wife, said Selena with a nice and motherly tone towards Momo. Momo and Izuku blushes heavily at what Izuku Mom said to him. Honey, I think it's time to let them go train, said Bruce, kissing Selena in the lips while Selena giggled. After a bit of talking to Izuku's mother and father about their training, Izuku and Momo went into a bear by forest. That is the best way to train for Momo and Izuku. So honey, what will I be doing for training? Asked Momo with a loving voice. Well, for you I want you to do one quick lap around the forest, and then do 20 push-ups and sit-ups and do another lap, but then add 10 each to both sit-ups and push-ups and also do another lap. Keep on doing that for half of the day, and next I will meet you here after I'm done with my training, said Izuku, coming close to Momo and giving her a passionate kiss. Momo returned the kiss and lets her tongue enter his mouth. After a while of kissing each other, Izuku decided to go and do his training while Momo does hers. With Momo training, Momo was in the middle of the forest. She decided to start her training. She started by jogging the first lap and did 20 push-ups and 20 sit-ups. She was already panting a bit, but she knows that she needed to continue her training, so she gets up, finishing her push-ups and sit-ups, and ran another lap, but this time she did 30 push-ups and 30 sit-ups. She got up panting more and grabbed her bottle of water and drank some of it while gulping all the water down her throat, and went back to her training. It had been an hour of training, so she decided to take a 10-minute break and then go back to resume her training. With Izuku, Izuku sighs as he went to a part of the forest and found his secret shed that no one knew of. Once Izuku reached the front door, he opened the door and closed the door and locked it, and he started to walk into this secret room that had something special inside of, locked behind the room like a secret entrance. Inside the shed have 3 rooms inside of it. It have a kitchen and a training room and Izuku's secret office and his secret entrance where something is there that he keeps it a huge secret. Once Izuku went to the secret door, he unlocked it with his code. Once he put his code on, he went inside. In the inside of the room the lights was okay and there were a gear inside of the glass protection. While the room looks like an office, behind the glass that was protecting the gear was a desk and a table where Izuku usually calmed down and figure stuff out on his own without anyone bothering him. Izuku made his way and took out the sacred gear and put it on his wrist. When he put it on, the sacred gear started to glow a purple light that made Izuku close his eyes from the brightness. Once the light was finished shining, Izuku looked at the sacred gear on his arm. It had a purple gem in the middle and the fingers and the rest were black, but in some parts are purple. It's like Issei's Red Dragon Emperor gauntlet, but instead it lasts purple and black. Izuku remembered the day that he got this from a mission that he took when he was younger. Flashback. Izuku was in the middle of a fight with these crooks that were hiding a bunch of citizens into one of the cabins in the U.S. Izuku was currently fighting the few remaining people that were the villains that tried to take hostiles and kill them to get their quirks. Bang. A gunshot was heard. The one that pulled the trigger was the guy with a jacket that have a gang symbol. When he shot, Izuku quickly dodged the bullet and went straight running towards the guy that tried to shoot him. Once Izuku was near him, her soccer punched his stomach and knocked him out. Bang! Another gunshot was coming towards Izuku. He did a backflip and dodged the bullet and used his small knives and throws it at the last guy and officially killed him. Izuku wasn't a fan of killing, but in a situation like this, then he will kill them even if it's a problem. He would still have killed them. After contacting Bruce and telling him the mission was finished, he quickly went out of the alleyway and went towards an abandoned building. Once he reached the front entrance, he felt a powerful presence. It was not normal. No quirkless human can sense a power from a building unless if they have a quirk that can sense stuff, but Izuku was shocked that he can sense a power coming in that building. Izuku was determined on finding that thing and wonder if it was a person that was letting in amount of power and was doing something bad in there. That's the only thing that Izuku thought at the moment, so Izuku got his belt ready with his knives just in case if the guy decided to attack him. Izuku went inside the abandoned building. He went inside further and found a room with the power in the room. Made him kinda scared, but once he opened the door there was no one there, but the power was coming from a handle glove or something, Izuku guessed, but he was shocked at how much power it was given. Never in his life there was such things as objects that have power in them. Izuku went closer to the gear in the table. Once he was right near the gear, it was a bit scary for him, but he decided that he is going to figure what this thing is. He grabbed the sacred gear and examined it. No one from this world would know what this is, but after a while of holding it, the gear growled light and went on his arm. Izuku was amazed at what he is seeing, but he had to keep this a huge secret from everyone so they don't find out what it is and try to get it from him. So Izuku took it with him back to his home and found his shed, putting his sacred gear in a glass on top of a table near his desk. After that he went out to meet his father and talked to him about the mission. And a flashback. Izuku went towards the glass that had the sacred gear inside of it. He grabbed the key from under the table and unlocked the glass on the top and grabbed the sacred gear. Izuku learned how the sacred gear works, but how to use the power from the sacred gear, well, he needed to learn how it works. "It's time to do my training," said Izuku with confidence while his fist was up in the sky. Chapter 14 Training Arc / Part 3 / Day 1/2. "It's time to do my training," said Izuku with confidence while his fist was up in the sky. Third POV. With Izuku. Izuku left his office and went straight into his gym. It was not a normal gym, or you can say training area. If you use a quirk, and it's powerful, it won't destroy the inside of the training room, cause it have a special barrier that can protect the inside and walls from quirks or powers. Izuku walked inside and placed his water bottle on the table, and went to the middle of the room and started to do a cross position sitting down on the floor, and he started to meditate. Even though he knows how to summon the sacred gear, he still need to unlock the dragon inside, but he doesn't know about the dragon. All he was trying to do is to gain control of the power. Once he was meditating, he was pulled into his subconscious inside of the sacred gear. Izuku opens his eyes. While looking around him, he can only see darkness. Izuku didn't know what was going on and where he was at. "Where am I at?" said Izuku out loud while trying his best to stay calm and to try to figure out what he was doing in his subconscious. For a couple of minutes had passed. Izuku was getting kind of irritated cause he had been stuck in his mind and trying to figure out to try to get out of his mind. "Okay, what the actual buck, why am I here, and for bucking sakes how the hell do I get out of here?" said Izuku in an irritated tone. Then Izuku can see there was something in the shadows right in front of him, so Izuku got ready to fight. "Show yourself," yelled Izuku while being cautious around him. "Calm your ass down, boy," said the dragon, scaring Izuku a bit. Then Izuku becomes more impatient. "Who are you and why aren't you showing yourself?" said Izuku, narrowing his eyes at the big figure in the shadows and looking straight at him carefully, and making his fighting stance, and just in case if he started to attack him so he can be ready to fight back. "Don't worry, boy, I am going to show myself and tell you who you am, but first I need to know, do you seek for my power?" said the dragon, making Izuku confused and letting his guard down cause what he dragon said. "What do you mean by that?" said Izuku, putting his arms down and looks up at the tall and big figure of a dragon. The dragon sighs and then looks at Izuku with a strong face. "What I mean is, do you want to have my power?" yelled the dragon, making Izuku flinch. Izuku then got the words he was saying to him. "How can I be so stupid? The dragon wants to give me his powers since he is the one that was stuck in this sacred gear," thought Izuku. "Yes, I want your power, now show yourself," yelled Izuku. "Finally you got it, boy," said the dragon, coming out of the shadows. The dragon had black scales and purple claws with purple eyes, and it was a massive dragon with purple wings, while the scales around the wings are black. It's like great red, but instead it had black scales around his body, and his eyes and wings and claws are purple . Izuku looked at the dragon with an awe expression. The dragon was smirking at Izuku while he was looking at him. With Momo in the real world. Momo, it's been a couple of hours that she had started her training. She improved her quirk more. She can now make weapons and med kits faster, and one of her new discoveries about her quirk is that she can now make any type of grenades and other type of bombs. Not only that, she can create different type of grenades. She can make poison grenades, but she hadn't gone far though, but she at least improved her quirk. In the past she can create stuff for 5 minuets fast, but now she improved her stamina. She can create more than less than a minute. Of course other stuff that she creates can take a bit longer, but Momo can improve that in the future. Right now Momo was tired. She was laying on the grass leaning on the tree exhausted. Momo was going to take a 1-hour break to figure out what she needs to improve, since she is going to be the successor of One for All. Momo have doubts about herself, but Izuku was right. If she didn't accept All Might's power, then he wouldn't find a successor if he would die or be in the hospital. things would go into chaos. The villains can start their move on then, so Momo really didn't have a choice, but she was glad. Momo wanted to be a hero for a reason. She wanted to save as many people as she can. That's not the only reason why she wants to be a hero, it's because of Izuku. He made her have her determination to become a hero even if she doubted herself in the past. He made her who she is today, and she will do her best to become a hero and save many people in the future. So Momo was so determined on training and becoming a true hero like Izuku was. After an hour had passed, Momo got up and went back to the middle of the forest. Now she was going to improve her stamina, so Momo started to run more laps, then do more push-ups and sit-ups, and after she finished sit-ups and push-ups she started training on her fighting position. She put one of her feet behind her and the other one in front of the other and put her hands towards her with both of her hands and makes a fist. Then she walked toward the tree and started to punch the tree with one hit. When she punched the tree it hurt her hand, but she knew that she needs to get stronger. She then created a punching bag and put the string on top of the bag and hanged it up on the tree really tight so it can stay still. Momo started to punch the bag with 2 hits, then she hits the sides and starts to kick with her legs and start to keep on punching the bag until she gets tired. Over an hour she was exhausted. It's been almost half of the day, so Momo decided to go back home and rest since she finished her training. Momo was wondering what Izuku was doing for his training, but Momo got that thought out of her head and went to her and Izuku's bed and slept. Back with Izuku in his sacred gear subconscious. "So you're my new partner," said the dragon while looking at him with a normal expression. Izuku was still looking at the dragon and looking around his whole body in amazement. Izuku heard what the dragon said, and Izuku then decided to ask the dragon something. "So what do you mean that I'm your partner? I kinda don't understand this and understand what this is in my right arm," said Izuku while pointing at the sacred gear, and looked at the dragon while trying to figure out what's happening. "Well boy, I'm going to have to explain a lot to you," said the dragon while sighing at Izuku. Izuku was confused on what the dragon said, but he is going to let him explain so he can understand on what the dragon is talking about. "First, Ibo's the black dragon of domination, and the thing in your right arm is called a sacred gear, and inside of the gear cause some powerful god had put my soul inside of the sacred gear, and of course I am this sacred gear is in a different dimension, so basically you're my very first host in this dimension, and my first host because in my dimension does not have many people that can have my sacred gear or even handle. And for the other question, I am going to be your partner since you now possess my sacred gear and my powers," said the dragon, giving an explanation to Izuku. Izuku was in shock and trying to analyze the words that the dragon named Ibos just said. Once Izuku got out of shock, he decided to accept the power that Ibos had as offering him to have his power. Izuku then looks at the dragon, then he was going to say something to him. "So I guess we are going to be partners then, huh?" said Izuku while putting his right hand on his leg leaning and while his other arm did the same. "Yap, so what's is your name, boy?" said Ibos looking at Izuku straight in the eyes. Izuku was nervous, but he was determined on getting stronger and want to control the power that Ibos is giving him. "My name is Izuku Wayne," said Izuku in a determined tone. "Nice name, kid, and now you probably want to know when are you going to get your power. Well, you already have it, and if you are confused, what I mean is when you put the sacred gear on you, it is now belong to you. You cannot take it off or anything, it's now stuck into your arm. So you don't have to worry about getting the power, and for your training we will start tomorrow and I will explain my power to you tomorrow, so now you should try not to train cause tomorrow will be hell for you, Izuku Wayne. Now I'm going to sleep, and if you want to contact me you can say my name in your head and I will wake up and answer you. Okay, now good night, said Ibos while going to sleep. Okay, Izuku said to himself. I probably should go home since it's past noon and it's already night. I don't want to make Momo worried, thought Izuku. Out of the Izuku subconscious. Izuku got up from meditating and Izuku then checked the time. It was 7:30. He needed to get home to go rest since Ibos wanted him to go and rest cause he said himself that his training is going to be hell. So Izuku somehow make the sacred gear to disappear from his arm. Once that happened he would learn on how to summon the sacred gear and make the sacred gear disappear. With his training, Izuku then started to go home. Once Izuku got to the door at his house, he opened it and locked the door behind him and went straight to the kitchen where Momo was sitting and eating her food. Momo then noticed Izuku was here. She then looked at Izuku and smiles at him. Hey honey, how was training? Said Momo in a sweet voice. It was good actually, I learned more fighting techniques, said Izuku while lying to her a bit. Izuku went to Momo and kisses her in the lips. Momo then suddenly kissed him back. After a couple of seconds they pulled out from the kiss and Izuku then sat down next to her and started eating. Once they were done, Momo and Izuku cleaned up the kitchen and went to their room. Momo went to her and Izuku's closet and changed into her nightgown and went to the right side of the bed that she usually sleep at. Izuku just took off his pants and shirt and went to the left side of the bed and cuddles up and wrapped his arms around her, and his hands resting on her stomach. Momo was smiling and fallen asleep. Izuku did the same. Tomorrow was going to be hell for Izuku, and for Momo it will be a training of her new power. Chapter 15 Training Arc Part 4/Day February 3rd. Tomorrow was going to be hell for Izuku, and for Momo it will be a training of her new power. Current time with Izuku and Momo. Izuku was with Momo cuddling with each other. Momo has her arms around Izuku's neck while her head is on Izuku's bare chest. Izuku had his chin on top of Momo's head, and his arms was wrapped around her waist. When the alarm clock ringed, Izuku and Momo got up with a tired face. Izuku was rubbing his eyes while Momo was stretching her arms. Then Izuku looked at Momo and kissed her in the lips real fast, making Momo blush. Morning, my princess, said Izuku with a loving tone and smiling at Momo. Momo was blushing a bit and smiled back at Izuku. Morning, my prince. Izuku had a small blush on his face, making Momo giggle. Momo always think her Izuku is so cute. When he blushes it makes him adorable. Sometimes he hides away his blush when she makes him, or says something that will make him blush, and he is very shy about letting her see him blush. After a couple of minutes they both changed. Momo was wearing a lady's sport shirt that was black and hides her big breast under the shirt with black sweats that fits her legs, while she was also wearing black shoes and her hair was in a ponytail. Izuku was wearing a plain gray shirt with black shorts and training shoes. Third POV. Izuku and Momo both finished changing. Both of them went into the front door and was going to leave until they heard a knock. Who would want to come visit us? It's like 6 o'clock in the morning and our parents still at their houses sleeping, and they wouldn't bother driving 8 minutes to come down here, said Momo out loud while Izuku was looking at her with the same question and a curious face. Izuku then opens the door to see All Might. Izuku was a bit surprised that All Might was early, but he must been in a hurry. Hello, young Wayne and young Momo, said All Might in his hero form and with a big smile. All Might, why are you here early? I thought that you said that you were coming at 1 p.m. today, said a very confused Momo while having her arms crossed. That's a good question, young Momo. Well, to be honest, I have to do hero work later, but right now I can only use my human form for another second because I am at my limit, said All Might. Then suddenly a bright light come into view. Momo and Izuku had to cover their eyes. After the light was gone, Momo and Izuku both took their hands off their eyes. All Might was coughing some blood out from his mouth while spiting the blood out with a napkin and threw it into the trash in front of their house. Both Momo and Izuku frowned and then looks at All Might with a soft smile on their faces. So that's why I'm here early, so may I come in and give you my power, young Wayne and young Momo? Asked All Might with a small smile while waiting for his answer. Momo and Izuku nodded at him, and letting All Might inside they walked into the living room and was sitting on the couch. Momo was sitting next to Izuku and All Might was sitting across from them and was looking at each other, being silent until Izuku broke the silence. So All Might, are we going to be talking about Momo's new power and being your successor? And also, do you have any tips for Momo so she can train in a good way for using one for all and combining her own quirk with one for all? Asked Izuku with his hands resting on the couch and was leaning against the couch cushions. Correct, young Wayne, we are going to be talking about Momo's power, and I'm going to give her power, but I'm going to have a serious talk about what's going to happen, and yes, I do have tips for her training, said All Might while sitting down and resting while looking at Izuku. Okay, then let's start. So what do you need to tell us? Asked Izuku while wrapping around his arm around Momo's neck, and then Momo rested her head against Izuku's chest. All Might was smiling a bit, and then he decided to be serious. Okay, what I'm going to tell you is to not go out of this room. Let me start by telling you guys this: I'm not the only one who have one for all in this world. There is another person that have one for all. His name is All for One. It's a name for him, and he is the leader of the villain league, and he's one of the most powerful villain right now. That's how I got this injury in my stomach from him. But when I give you this power, young Momo, you are going to have to train and especially be ready for the time comes when you face All for One. There are 2 reasons why I'm saying this. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle 2 hours a day cause I'm getting weaker and weaker, but the moment, and don't be afraid young Momo, you have young Wayne to help you out on this journey. And I am sure that you guys will be good heroes one day, said All Might while giving them a huge smile in his weak form. It was awkward, but then Momo and Izuku both smiled. But also they were shocked, and getting this info in their mind, Momo was scared and started to shake cause she is going to have to face One for All. But then Izuku noticed this, and put his hands on her shoulder to make her remember that he would also be there for her when she faces All for One. Momo then smiles at Izuku, and Izuku smiles back in a loving way. All Might was happy for them, but he had to interrupted their special moment. So young Yaoyorozu, are you ready to get your powers? Asked All Might while looking at the 2. Momo looked at Izuku, then looked at All Might. Yes, I am ready for my powers and being your successor, said Momo. All Might nodded his head and got UPU. So did Momo and Izuku. All Might went towards Momo and looks at her while Momo looked at him, and Izuku was right next to Momo and the side of her and looked at All Might, curious on how he can transfer his power and giving it to another person. So Izuku just paid attention on what's going to happen. Okay, young Yaoyorozu, I'm going to put my hand and touch your wrist, and I'm going to release my power and give it to you so you can be my successor. And if you guys are wondering, no, I am going to still have my power, but it's fading though. So yeah, and once I'm done with this, you guys should start training well, mostly young Yaoyorozu. No offense, young Midoriya, said All Might, making Momo and Izuku nod their heads. All Might grabbed her wrist and slowly make energy in his hands and transfers his power into Momo. Once that was finished, Momo was confused cause she didn't know if she had the power yet. All Might took his hands off her wrist and stepped back. That was it, said Momo while looking at All Might. Izuku was also more confused and began to become more curious. Yes, it is. It will take a couple of hours or so, maybe earlier, to gain or to control your quirk, and remember this, you will only be able to use 5% of your power. Anything up or you will damage your arms, so if I would you should train to at least control to 50% of power. All right, I'm going to go, I got other business to take over. See ya guys, and good luck, said All Might and left through the door and leaving Momo and Izuku to their thoughts. After a bit of thinking, Momo went to her training place while Izuku decided to train with his sacred gear and learn how to get power and become powerful while being the host of a powerful dragon. With Momo was having a bit of a hard time with the power, so she then decided to try a new plan. The new plan was being to activate her new power by meditating and tried to make her new power flow through her body and going to let it get used to her body. So Momo then went on the grass and put her elbows resting on her legs, that is in the cross form, and putting her 2 fingers touching the tip of their other finger while letting the power flowing through her. After a bit of meditating, she finally figured out on to use her new power. Momo went up to the punching bag and puts her right arm back while making a fist and clenching her fist and letting 5% of One for All going through her arm, and as she released her arm and punched the bag in the middle and make the bag hitting trees and destroy them in seconds. After a couple of seconds, the bag fell down. The bag went about 9 miles. Momo was shocked but then got determined on mastering her power, but she remembered what All Might said to use 1% of power, and controlling each percent of power that she was going to use. Momo continued her training on using her One for All and doing a couple of exercises for both of her powers become one. She found out that if she makes a weapon it can be stronger than a normal weapon, but the sad part that if she gives it to another person it would not be affected of One for All, so only she can enchant her own weapons and use them to her advantage. Chapter 16, Robin the Black Dragon Emperor / the final day of training. With Izuku. Today was Izuku's day of training that was going to be hell for him, so he is going to have to stay up overnight and not come home on the 3rd day. Izuku told Momo about him training all night. Momo got a bit worried, but Izuku told her that he will call her if anything happens. Momo got relieved and then smiled, and they give each other one last passionate kiss and gone their separate ways. Izuku was walking down the path of his secret shed. Once he reached the shed, he opened the door and closed and locked the door behind him while going to the training area and sit down on a chair on thinking how he was going to train, cause all he knew he is going to learn new magic, but not from this world though. Izuku was also waiting for Ibo's to wake up and tell him about his power and how to gain and master his gear or power. After a couple of minutes, Izuku was still sitting on the chair and still waiting for Ibo's to help him train. Izuku kinda gotten a bit frustrated waiting for Ibo's, so he decided to wake him up. "Ibo's, wake up, I need to start my training," said Izuku with an impatient tone. "Kid, and already up? I've been awake this whole time. You should have just called me if you were that impatient," replied Ibo's in a neutral tone. Izuku's sweat dropped and looked at the floor in embarrassment. "So you was awake the whole time?" said Izuku with a confused tone and in embarrassment. "Yeah, but we should start your training first. I need to tell you about a couple of things about having my power and sacred gear," said Ibo's. While Izuku nodded at him, and getting more comfortable on the chair and paying attention what Ibo's have to say. "Okay, well, the first thing about having my power and gear is stamina. So I see you have hood stamina, but you need to increase a bit more and increase your magic. Basically what I mean by that is that you will have to start increasing your magic. I know this world have quirks, but this magic is not from this world, and it's different, so the magic I am teaching you is part of my world, and I am going to have to teach you how to fight with the magic on hand-to-hand combat, and use it with weapons too, and the sacred gear will also combine with the gear too. So we should start your training. I will talk to you about Balance Breaker when you are about to achieve it later on. So for your training I want you to start by using Black Dragon's slaying magic that you awakened and start practicing fighting with it, and you will learn techniques that you will make up, like strikes with your hands or Iron Dragon Fist, something like that, and I want you to make up the training yourself and making your own techniques with the Black Flame yourself," said Ibo's, making Izuku nod his head, making him understand what the dragon was saying. "Okay then," said Izuku, getting up and standing in the middle of the room and made a fighting stance, and he felt the power flowing through his body, and he lit his fist on flames and said, "Black Fire Dragon Fist," said Izuku while aiming straight at the punching bag, and made the bag sent flying, breaking the door with flames, damaging the punching bag. Izuku was impressed how the attack worked, and how powerful the attack sent the bag flying away towards the end of the room. What made the move powerful? It was because the flames that made the attack stronger. It can damage skin and make the punch hard, so if he can make moves like that, then he can make it with his weapons too. So Izuku got his sword that he had been using that Wayne had given him. He added some energy to his sword and made a slash, but sadly nothing happened. Izuku was confused if he can use the power in his fist, but why doesn't it work on his sword? The reason why it's not working cause the power can't flow into the sword because it's just a regular sword that is in this world, said Ibo's, making Izuku more confused and making him a bit irritated. What do you mean it won't work with this sword? Said Izuku with a confused expression. What I mean, Izuku, is that this magic will not combine into this world's swords. Even if it's a quirk-made sword, it will not be able to combine the power into the sword, and that is why I am going to give you something that I will give you, but it have to be 2 weapons of your choice, since I only be able to make 2, since it's the only weapons I can make, right? Now, said Ibo's, making Izuku, raising one of his brows up. So are these 2 weapons are not from this world, then how are you going to give it to me since you are inside of the sacred gear? Said Izuku while sitting down on a chair for a bit, taking rest from his training. Well, you are correct about the weapons. They are indeed from another world that I was in, and for the second question, I think it's stupid. Just because I am in a sacred gear I cannot help you. Well, you are actually wrong. I can create weapons. Well, only 2 for now, but that is basically it for the creating part. Also listen very carefully, what I am going to tell you is going to be important, said Ibo's. Izuku then decided to listen to him carefully. It's about your training and your balance breaker, said Ibo's while using a calm tone. Balance breaker? Said Izuku in confusion. The dragon then sighed and then started to explain to Issei about the balance breaker. A balance breaker is basically armor, but it's not an ordinary armor, it's a dragon armor that cannot break except for your enemies in the other world, and don't worry about that, the time will come soon later in the future, but not now. I am going to continue. A balance breaker is armor, and have their ability to increase your speed and dragon slaying magic that you can use, and there are more attack moves once you achieve balance breaker, and there are many forms of balance breaker forms. Think of it like it's a level 1 armor or a level 2 armor. The power will keep on increasing power. But don't say it's not powerful, all of them are powerful and have different type of slayer magic and armor that will be different. Now for the weapons, you will have to use trace on to create a strong sword, but I rather you to not do that yet, since I am going to give you 2 weapons to use for your balance breaker, and without it, and I will teach you a lot more magic instead of slayer magic, explained Ibos, making Issei shocked since he doesn't know there are more stuff with this sacred gear can do. Izuku had only have one thing in his mind. How do I achieve balance breaker? Asked Izuku, wanting to get stronger. You have to train, and you will able to achieve balance breaker by maintaining your stamina, and in the end you will be able to achieve but not master it yet, but I can tell you are really close to balance breaker, Izuku, said Ibos while Izuku nodded his head, being determined to master his sacred gear. Time skip. It was 12 o'clock in midnight. Izuku had been training all day, and he was a bit tired, but thanks to his stamina he'd been able to still train. Izuku had achieved balance breaker and able to use balance breaker for at least 2 weeks. That was his maximum, but he still needs to get it mastered so he can use it for multiple battles if there are multiple enemies that are coming for him. Izuku had learned re-equip magic from Ibos, and also he had learned that there is multiple balance breakers, so now he can have multiple forms of balance breaker of each different level so they can get stronger and stronger. If you get to the maximum level, of course it will be hard, but it will be good power to have. Issei also had learned summoning swords from the other world. He had fully achieved Excalibur, called the Holy Dragon Sword. It's a strong type of sword that can be used to able to transform into daggers while being able to make destruction, while slashing, kinda like a sword when it's being slashing at someone, able to use swords that can throw a magic attack and making it slash someone in their arms and cutting off their arms, kinda like a bow and arrow thing, but you can slash from far away and make the magic through the Fire Slayer magic coming fast to the enemies. Izuku had also learned a thing he can do, a move with the sacred gear called Dragon Shot, where Issei can send and throw a huge ball of energy to the villains or enemies and defeat them with a painful blast, and even evaporate their bodies while killing them. Izuku also had been able to master all of his slaying abilities like the Lighting Slayer with the Green Inferno slaying magic so Izuku was done for training since it was the last day of training for him, so he can at least relax on the next day since he doesn't have to go to school after tomorrow. So Izuku then started to walk to his and Momo's house. With Momo, she was currently in her room resting since she had a long day of training, and she remembered that her Izuku told her that tomorrow will just be a relaxed day for them. Momo had finished her training an hour ago. She had been able to use 40% of her power, and also been able to combine her power with her weapons, making the weapons more lethal. So without a doubt she is already strong enough, but she still needs to train her fighting style cause she currently lacks stamina so she couldn't slack off, but since this is her last day of training she will be focusing on that later in her classes. Third POV. Izuku unlocks the door to his house and closed the door behind him while locking it, and went up inside his room to see Momo asleep. Izuku started smiling at her and thinking on how cute she is when she is sleeping and decided to go to sleep with her. Izuku got into the bed and kissed her forehead. That made Momo smile in her dreams while snuggling closer to Izuku and wraps her arms around Izuku while putting her head on his chest while feeling warmth. Izuku wrapped his arms around Momo and put his chin on top of her head in a protective manner, and fell asleep also feeling warmth. Chapter 17, A Date and Making Love. Third POV. Izuku and Momo had finally finished training. Right now they were in the living room watching TV for a bit since today was supposed to be their last day of training, but since they trained hard they decided to use the last day as a break. Izuku was sitting in the couch with his legs on top of the second part of the couch that turned into a bed. He had his arm around Momo protectively. Momo had her head resting on Izuku's chest and having a blanket on both of them while they cuddle and watching the movie. It has been a couple of hours since the movie had ended. Momo and Izuku decided to clean up the area since they had a mess. Izuku put the couch bed back into an actual couch again while Momo was folding the blankets and putting them into the closet in the hallway near the living room, where Izuku was almost finished with cleaning the table and vacuuming the floor to get the dust and dirt out. After a couple hours of cleaning, Izuku found Momo sitting in the couch watching TV. Izuku walked towards the couch and sit right next to Momo. "Did you finish cleaning the other room, baby girl?" said Izuku in a loving tone. When Izuku had sat down, Momo quickly rested her head on Izuku's chest, making him smile, and he let out a soft giggle. Momo just smiled and feeling the warmth on his chest. "Yes, I am, honey," said Momo, answering Izuku's question. There is nothing to do today since me and Momo had finished training. I should take her on a date since we haven't been on a date for a while," thought Izuku while turning his head towards Momo. "Hey Momo, would you like to go on a date with me today?" said Izuku with a soft, loving tone and a small smile on his face. Momo turned towards Izuku, and then smiles back at him. Of course, I would love to go on a date with you. Let me get ready, and you get ready and meet in the living room 10 minutes, said Momo happily while getting up and went to their room to grab some clothes. When she got her clothes from the room, she went to the bathroom in the hallway to get ready. Izuku got up from the couch and also grabbed some clothes on and went into the bathroom in their room that they have. Momo decided to wear a gray small shirt that reveals her stomach and her breast, and she also put on a red skirt that fits her perfectly, same for the top. After she was done dressing herself, she did her hair into a small ponytail. Once she was finished getting ready, she went into the dining room where the door is at and taken a seat on the couch. I hope my Izuku likes what I am wearing for our date, said Momo in her thoughts while being curious on what Izuku is going to wear for their. With Izuku was still in the room changing. He had a hard time to find something to wear on their date, but he finally found some clothes that will look good on him. He decided to wear black pants and his normal red shoes with a light gray shirt that fits his whole upper body. He also put on a green hoodie that also fits his body perfectly. Once Izuku was done changing, he went out of the bathroom and went into the dining room where Momo was waiting for him. Izuku had made it to the living room and took Momo's hand and opened the door for her and him. They walked out of the house and went into Izuku's car and they drove to the movie theater. Once they got there, they went inside and watched a horror film called Michael Moro. They got popcorn and soda and went towards their seats in the room watching the movie. In the middle of the movie, Momo got scared. Izuku wrapped his arm around her, making her calm down, while she leans her head on the movie with a small smile. After reaching the ending of the movie, Momo liked how the two victims who were caught by Michael Moro got together at the end, since she and him had to protect each other. After the movie ended, they went to the park and sat down near the beautiful pond in the middle of the trees. Izuku smiles and wrapped his arms around her while Momo snuggles into Izuku's chest. I love this spot, Suku, and I love cuddling with you in this beautiful scenery, said Momo, calling Izuku by his nickname she gave her while giving a small blush on her face, and snuggled more into him. Me too, Momo, me too, said Izuku, playing with Momo's hair and patting her head while playing with her hair, and his other arm was wrapped around her waist. I love you, Zuku, said Momo with a loving tone while looking at the pond with ducks swimming at. I love you too, Momo, said Izuku, also looking at the pond with the ducks and frogs are at. After a couple of hours staying at the pond, they got up and went back to the car and sat inside the seats. Once they got in the car, Izuku starts up the car while buckling his seatbelt on, while Momo did the same. Izuku then steps on the pedal and starts to drive back to their house. Right now they were passing by some houses that is near Udata School. They drove by the school and turned into the left lane and passed some couple of streets, and finally arrived to their house. Izuku parked his car into the driveway and stopped the car while taking the keys out, putting it into his pockets. Momo has gotten out of the car and unlocks the door to the house with Izuku following behind her, and closed the door behind them. Momo turned around and looked at Izuku with a small smile. Wait here, Aiza, I got a surprise for you, said Momo, walking up the stairs while swaying her ass that Izuku can see. Izuku looked at her ass swaying back and forth. He blushed and bit his lip. He wanted her so bad, and he have an urge to go and slap her ass and buck her here and now. Momo went up the stairs and smiles to herself and walking towards the room. Once she was in the room, she went inside the closet and looked for something really sexy to put on and gave a good view for her Izuku can see. After a while, Izuku made it up to the room where Momo was at. Once he entered their room, Izuku had a huge blush and rushed towards where Momo was laying at the end. They had sex and felt many pleasure and fallen asleep while making love.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.